All right. Hey, there I am. Look at my beautiful maze. All right. Awesome. Cool. Oh. My headset sorted. It's a little crinkled. Pog you. Yes. Man, there. All right. Good. Should be good. All right. We'll wait a little bit. Wait a few minutes. Oh, says you went live. I am. I know I did. Thank you. Twitch. All right. Wait a few minutes. See how many people are gonna get in here. See how many are gonna watch. So kind of I guess I should have had a schedule, I guess, but we're not gonna be doing that, or I don't have that, so we're not. So we're gonna start out. We're going to go with a majors game. So we're gonna do at least one major and one minor, however long that may take. We're gonna do the majors game on Lijiang, and we're gonna do a minors game on Gib, because that one went long. I heard that was a good one. And then we're going to do potentially another majors game on Kings Row if I have time. I will warn everybody, I do take a while to do these. Very long-winded. I also answer every question. Obviously, I like to do that whole interaction thing with people. But this is pretty cool. Coach's Corner. I'll do this every week for, the regular season. Every game I'll try to pick. What was your question? Are you sending me questions in Discord? Because I don't have a Discord open. If you did, let me see, because you probably did. No, you didn't. Oh, I'm not going to answer your questions? Maybe. It depends on the question. So, kind of the way that we're going to roll with this, way this whole show, I know he is, so I might just, try to pull an answer out my butt. Way the whole thing is kind of going to work is, so we're going to start, we're doing free agent matches today, because those were what was up. Then when the season goes through, every week we'll, pick a couple matches or a couple maps that were really close or had a lot of fun plays, a lot of good stuff about them. We're going to kind of break down and analyze them. Hopefully every week we'll also have like a guest coach. Somebody else can come in. We can, have a back and forth, talk about things like coaching, anything really that's happening during the week in Overwatch, as well as, do these reviews. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really excited about this. This is something that I do on my main channel, or my main Twitch. No, I'm not covering every show match. I'm picking maps from each of them. Because usually my map reviews take about 1 to 2 hours, depending on how in-depth I want to get. Am I going to review any of the Hana major games? Most likely not tonight, but depends. It depends how long these take. Again, I'm really, really long-winded when it comes to this stuff. I also like to answer a lot of questions. So, I consider that I'll probably be taking a long time on the maps that I already have picked out. And I was told that these were some really solid maps in the from the shows. So these are the ones that I'm going to go for. So I guess let's get right in and let's get started here. So we're going to start off. We're going through a majors on Lijiang. Now the one thing that I will say that I really enjoyed about all of these was that this was not. There was a lot of variation in the compositions. So there's going to be a lot of stuff to break down and to go through. And so I guess let's just get started here. So we're on Lijiang, and let's see, let's just wait. Let's see, make sure this is exactly what we're going to roll out with. Okay, so let me full screen this, and, is that the Ram? Is it? It could be. Yeah, it is the Ramza. Is that the Ramza? Is that a pro Genji? It's a pro Reinhardt. We'll have a lot of different tools here that we're going to use. I have my pen. I also have maps of Hanamura, or not Hanamura, I'm sorry, Lijiang, in case I want to break stuff down that way. So I kind of flick back and forth between all these different things. So let's have some fun, right? Why not? And if you want to see more of these after this, my Twitch is down there. There's no link to it, but that's what it is. If you want to go there, I do stuff occasionally. On there, I'll do like pro analysis of like World Cup games or Contenders games or Overwatch League games when they eventually come out. So I'll do a lot of that on my channel. I also do individual coaching stuff. That's a side note. I just like to say that, just like to let the people know. So we're going to be starting here with rolling out on Lijiang. So I was going to link in this chat too, but it would be banned for 10 minutes if I did that. Well, don't try to get banned, son. That ain't good. That ain't good. So let's kind of start by breaking down the compositions on each of them. So I'll start with on the left side. So, or I'll start out with both. So, oh, thanks, buddy. Love you. Thanks, Warren. So in terms of which composition I like more, I would say I definitely like the Team B composition more here. Rein Zarya is definitely very good right now. But they're mostly good in like the GOAT style triple support sense. I'm Frumple. That's me. I'm a coach. And I'm doing reviews of the show matches. So that would be me. I am Frumple. So I like the Team B composition. Like, who am I? What team? Oh, I coach a 4.2K Open Division team and a 4K European Open Division team. So I don't coach any of the Owlet teams. I do free coaching for any teams that want it, or free individual coaching for any individuals that want it. But no, I'm not explicitly an Owlet coach. I coach like low GM teams in Open Division right now. So, breaking it down by composition here, I like the Team B composition because if we go from the bottom up, right, we're gonna want to break it down from the healers first to start. So the healing is the same, or the healing combination is the same. Now, when it comes to how the healers are going to function, you're going to want monetize or die. Yeah, you're going to want to. The Mercies are going to want to be as much with their Pharahs as possible, right? It's a strong combo, and more often than not, when you're running these Pharah compositions, you are. No, I'm not. Oh, is it? Does he use the pink one? I think I like the pink one more because it shows better on a lot more of the maps than blue does. Anyway. Mercy works well with the Pharah. We all know this. Pharmacy, it's a whole thing. Now, because of that, Mercy and Pharah are going to kind of operate as a two-man team, not really connected to the rest of their squad, right? So, the Pharah doesn't want to stick with their team. They want to be up in the air, obviously. They're going to be flying around. And on this map in particular, the Pharahs are going to be coasting around this tower, trying to control this midsection point here. And the Mercies want to be with the Pharah because, specifically within the dive composition, Pharahs are looking to get direct hits with a damage boost. And from that direct hit, hero on the other team is going to get low. And once that happens, a call can come in to dive on the target. And the reason this works so well is because regardless of where that character is, the high mobility of the dive is going to allow the team to capitalize off of that damage. So when we look comparing the healing lines here, the Mercy is going to boop the Pharah, fantastic. And they both have the Lucio. Now Lucio does not provide a lot of heals. He has the wide range of heals, but his healing per second is significantly lower than, say, an Ana, right? It's higher than a Zen, but it is... or there's more than a Zen because you can heal your whole team in a bubble. But generally, there's very low healing coming in from the Lucio comp. So what you want to be doing with this is you're going to be using the speed to your advantage. You don't really want to be taking a lot of poke damage in the fight, which is what Fair is all about, because the more poke damage you take, the easier it is for the enemy team to come kill you, because you have to waste your amp. You can't use your amp then on speed to get your healers out or to get your squishies out, and they can capitalize off that low damage. The more poke you have, the harder it is going to be to heal up, and that will require the Mercy to come down away from the Pharah. That means the Pharah is away from heals and she's not getting the damage boost, which means she's not doing her maximum the maximum potential of a Pharah. You're basically wasting the Pharah in that situation. And the reason that this works on the side of Team B rather than Team A is because Ryan Zarya comps tend to be a lot slower, and they don't have... The Pharah should focus on players on the ground, right, as opposed to an aerial dogfight. It entirely depends. If you're going it depends. If you're really confident in your ability to hit 2 direct impacts, if you can take the Pharah out of the sky, then you open up more space for your healers, because they're not so worried about the Pharah. But if you're not really confident in taking that Pharah 1v1, then you want to be focusing on the ground and kind of playing around that tower as best you can. Teams have done it both ways depending on the playstyle of the players. I prefer when the Pharahs are focusing on the ground team, because what that's doing is it's pressuring the healers to go away, and it's not allowing them space. So when you have, for instance, here, let's open up Lijiang, and we're on tower, right? So Lijiang tower is this point here. Pharahs generally want to be sitting, where's Farmy's Pharah token? They're going to be using this tower, right, to play around, because what this does is it gives Pharah cover from all angles, and then she can kind of bombard this whole ground courtyard area and focus on that bridge, and the healers are going to be forced, specifically it's like a Zen or an Ana, are going to be forced to play back, because if they go more in the open, they're going to be a much easier target for the Pharah, so they get zoned out. And then if you hit that direct impact, obviously you can go, if it's like a Zen or something, you can do a quick dive onto them, and then you can kill the target. So you're going 1-to-1. Now, there are some teams where the Pharah players do like to focus on the aerial dogfight, but if they do not get the value out of it, you have to be supremely good at always hitting your doubles. If you do not direct to zone her out and kill her. Yeah, well, a lot of the time, so when this was very popular in OWL, they were running a lot of either the Pharah and the Tracer, but they would also run Pharah Widow, was really strong on this one, to try to, it's kind of countering each other, and that forced the Pharah to play further back on the tower rather than giving her more freedom to come this way, because Widows oftentimes sit here, or if you're Carpe, you go to the White Room, because you're Carpe and you can do whatever the fuck you want. So I tend to have my players focus more on the ground fight, but because the thing is, right, if you know that your Pharah player is not as strong as their Pharah player in terms of hitting these good directs on the ground-based heroes, what you can do is you can force her to try to take the dogfight with you, and then you can pull her attention away from your backline, giving your backline more space to open up, and then that, it potentially turns the ground war into a 5v5, and if you're much more comfortable winning that 5v5, then, winning with the Pharah, then you can get valued that way. So one of the things that I'll tell my, if I'm, coaching a Widow player, and I know that we're going to be running up against a really strong Widow player, I'll say the same kind of general idea, in that a Widow, ideally, if you can win the Widow 1v1, you want to be doing that. That's what those types of matches were played for. It was who wins the Widow 1v1. But if your Widow is just mechanically much worse than theirs, they can position in such a way that it forces the Widow out of her area, right, because out of her sightline, and then tries to minimize the impact of the enemy Widow without directly taking the 1v1. So if you suck, yeah. Say ho, ice wallow come. Okay. I did. So if you're not as good as the enemy Widow, then you can zone them out and create almost a 5v5 that your team's much more comfortable taking. I did it. It happened. I'm going to be reading chat. You can roll with that all day. Attention is a resource. Attention is a resource. That's true. Well, if you're forcing the enemy widow to pay attention to you, she can't get headshots on your healers. But if she can't kill you, which is why one of the things that widows can do is if you know that, where's the beer? I don't have it. I didn't know if I'd get in trouble for bringing a beer. I have beer downstairs if you want me to grab it, Grip. Don't personally attack me like that. But say you're an enemy widow, right? And you have walls up. Let me go over here. Whoa, what the fuck? Oh, somebody followed on my other Twitch. I have no idea why that went through on mine. That's very bizarre. Oh, well, that's going to happen. And then I won't drink, Rook. So if you're an enemy widow here, so that's going to happen every once in a while. I apologize for that. I actually don't know how to turn that off. So if you're an enemy widow, right, and this is a doorway, this is a wall. So this is that's a better. This is a door, and this is a wall. If you have sights up and you can see the silhouette of the enemy widow, right? If you're this enemy widow who's silhouetted, shit. How do I turn that off? Oh, man. I have no idea how to turn that off. That's unfortunate. All right. Anyway, if this is the silhouette of you, what you can do is, because you can't really take the 1v1 because you don't have sights, it's pretty quiet on stream. Fantastic. That's beautiful. Awesome. Good. I was worried about that. It's blasting in my ear, but if it's not on stream too bad, then I'm not worried about it. The enemy widow's here, or you're the widow, and the enemy widow has sights. Then you don't want to take that 1v1 because she has the advantage, right? The second you peek out, she can headshot you. But if you do this kind of jiggle back and forth and you never quite poke out, she knows you're there, so she can't turn her attention away because there's a chance she gets one shot. So she's forced to hard scope this door in order to keep you pressured. But all you're doing is pulling her attention away by just going back and forth. So it's a 1v1. I do the hello emote? It's a 1v1. You could do the hello emote, yeah. You take the 1v1 without actually firing any bullets. It's really useful. It's really good to do. That's a side note. So, anyway, back to the actual game that I have pulled up, which is this. When it comes to compositions, right, since we're going for these direct impacts and we're going for a dive style, it's okay to have less healing as long as you're not taking poke. So what the Lucio can be used for is speed, to engage faster and stronger, to have a more complete dive that isolates and bursts out a target. And the problem with this is that Ryan comps are much more based in the poke game and moving a lot slower. Ryan's obviously, they can't jump like a Winston can. They don't have the mobility. Zarya's don't have the mobility. D.Va does. So while the rest of this composition is pretty okay, I would probably switch this Lucio for an Ana. That way you have a stronger ground healing game. Now, that breeds a whole nother issue where you don't actually have a support ultimate. But if you're putting the Mercy in the sky with the Pharah, you need to have better heals on the ground for your Ryan and your Zarya so they can play a more effective poke game and they can sustain in an area longer, because them moving into an area naturally means they're going to take poke to their shield or to their health. So you're not going to be able to have as quick of an engage as this team, so you're not going to get the benefit of the speed as much, and you're going to be at a disadvantage from having less healing. So that's kind of the composition breakdown. Let's see how this game actually goes. And by the way, any questions you have, please ask. I love answering questions more than anything. So, all right. So we're going. Key is going this way. Who's going in the white room? That's Tracer. Normal. Trying to take that fight into white room. This makes sense, right? This team, again, we're focusing on a composition that doesn't want to take poke. So if you go white room, it minimizes the effectiveness of the enemy Pharah. So if this team with the Rhine base goes this way, they're not taking as much poke. They don't want to. They want to fight on the point. They don't want to be in this open courtyard. And the Pharah, she moved this way, trying to get the kill on the Tracer. Unfortunately, it didn't land. But that means that the Pharah can kind of control this, and then she can maneuver around the tower and also control the courtyard this way. So what their team is going to be looking at is controlling this area from the point, and not allowing the Pharah on the enemy team to get value, because this point in particular is very difficult for Pharah to do anything once they don't have point control. When your team has point control, so say team red has point control here, the Pharah has much more leeway to, kind of maneuver around this tower, and she can pump damage wherever, the enemy team is going. She has freedom on bridge. They'll fight out here. She has freedom over here and over here. She can do damage into White Room, not quite as much, but she can still do it. But if on the other side, right, if say the blue team had it, the Pharah who's coming in not only has to contest this Pharah who has natural cover using the tower, but she also has to get low enough that she can shoot into the point, which means she's also at a disadvantage because she's within the range of things like their Hanzo now or their Zarya. So point control on this is huge. Taking the first bit of control as a Pharah team is really important on towers. It's tower. Yeah, tower. Gazebo. Fucking whatever. So right here, we want to take the point, right? Yeah, so you notice how low the Pharah has to get. It's very difficult for her to survive in that area. Yeah, I would say, again, putting the Pharah into... Wants to be on the... Ooh, this is a good DMAC. Wants to be low. Good shot. Okay. It looks like we're rolling on through. So let's see why this happened. Ooh, come on, Key. Come on, Key. There you go. All right, good shot. All right, so let's go. So now since we have the control, we're allowed to stay out here. Pharah has free reign of the tower. So let's go back and see what happened here. So Key manages to get to first kill. We do make a McCree swap. So let's see right here. Where is Yaxim? So yeah, this is kind of the issue too that we're finding. It's the same weird rotation. Which one, for the divers or for the tankers? Or not the tankers, the divers are the death ballers. The issue we're coming in here is we don't want to be with it. This war is a ground war now. Hello. Oh, Yaxim, you're over there. You died first. You think Ryan's okay there? Me sitting at that choke, like right here, this is fine. Because all their damage is in front of you. Like, the thing is, the only person you have to be worried about is the Tracer, but as Ryan, you can't really do shit about a Tracer. You're not worried about that. No, the issue with the dive rotation here is that once being in here, you cede all advantage of having dive tanks. This is where Orion's Zarya will thrive because this low ground point gives them really all of the advantage they need, and they can play around this, right? They can kind of swoop in and swoop out. So now, against this comp, you need to kind of wait until a big, not a big one, but you don't want to take the front line in the way that this is being taken. You don't want to put your attention this way. You want to be trying to get into the back line, and really your only backline target is the Hanzo or the Lucio, are really the only two that you're going to be able to focus down. Tanks, I feel like the supports are too tough to make that dive there. In the sense that it's hard to dive the supports. You don't want to be diving the Mercy. The Mercy's going to be up high with the Pharah. She's not diveable. Again, the goal of this is to... So the thing about killing a speedy boy that makes it hard is, yes, if a Lucio is at full health, it's very, very hard. Very hard to kill a full health Lucio because they can get away. But in this composition, right, specifically if we go on this side, the idea is that this duo is going to be putting enough damage down that, one, Lucio is going to waste his amp, so he can't amp speed to get away, because you're going to force him to heal a lot with the damage, and two, if you hit a direct on the Lucio, he gets low enough that one jump with the Winston Diva plus the Tracer's bullets should be able to kill the Lucio quick enough that then they can focus on the other. They can move to the next target quickly enough to get value out of it. The thing about dive is people try to dive very heavily without coordinating the rest of their damage. Yeah, or you wait until their Lucio is forced to use his amp, and then you have your Tracer do the damage. The same can apply there. Because right now, the Tracer is trying to pincer, but the problem with this, and the reason this doesn't work is one, the divers cannot dive the back line. They don't have the ability in this doorway. And two, you have the Pharah, but your Pharah is back here. So she can't get value over here, and if she comes around this way, then there's gonna be a duel between the Pharahs, so she's still not getting value. You're not gonna be able to dive, and now you're also stuck with that low healing composition, and you have less self-sustain than these tanks do. The Rhine Shield can keep him up more. Zarya has bubbles, plus she heals herself. Once your DM is down and once your Winston bubble is down, then you're losing the poke war. So now you're playing like you're fighting for this spot here, but you really aren't. You can be a lot more patient with dive. You don't want to be coming in to this enclosed area and cutting yourself off and cutting your options down to really only backwards or forwards. So, and again, you're not getting value out of the Pharah if she's all the way back there, because again, she has to go past this, so she's not going to hit good damage. The shield's covering the whole doorway, so no one's going to get hit here. And if we notice, the tanks are already half in this, and it's going to be tough to come back from that, because again, we have very low healing. Mercy's going to have to come away from the Pharah. That means the Pharah is again getting less value. See how low Diva already is. There's a committal here. Yeah, see, DMAC'd already low on this, and now we can use speed to get in, and now we're controlling this area. It's good direct, but then, yeah, Yaxim just gets bursted down by Key, and Key's not really worried about getting damaged or killed anymore, because the only thing that was going to contest him is the enemy Pharah, who's outside of the room, or the Diva, who's already DMAC'd. So let's see what we swap to here, and land to. Absolute beast. Right. Okay. So, actually, before I talk to this, I want to see how this next fight goes. That's something that I forget to do. Do we rotate? Alright, so this is good, using that natural cover. Yeah, we did not want to go white room. Ouch. Nice shot. Are we disengaging here? Looks like we are. Good disengage. Good disengage. Alright. Easy. That was nice. Okay, this is a nice comp. Now, this is something I can get behind. Alright. I like it. Now, because I thought... Curious what you think of their attack here. Because I thought we were fucked. Depends on how they play it. Entirely depends on how they play it. But that was good disengage. The second that Mercy goes down, right, you know that your Pharah has no help in the sky. She's not going to have much value here. I don't like this compositional swap here. For me, and again, the Widow's a much better pick here because Widow works better in dive than McCree does. Her range is longer, which means in order to counter dive her, you are forced to use cooldowns, or you have to get a Widow on the enemy team. And with McCree, he really needs to be up close, especially with that stun. But when he's so up close, he's very susceptible to getting killed. He needs to be pocketed. Mercy's not going to do that. Lucio's not enough healing. Plus, he can't commit with the dive, so that's taking away a source of damage. So when the dive comes through, McCree's going to be back here, and the rest of the divers are going to go forward, and he's going to be kind of caught alone and not really able to aid the fight. Now, he can kill the Pharah, but it's harder for him to do it, one, because he doesn't have as much maneuverability. So if she uses the tower properly for that natural cover, it's going to be very tough for him to get in a position to free fire, whereas the Widow has a much longer range and can be in more places quicker, and more places that have better sightlines than McCree can. What is a better option than Widow? More Widow. Or just go goats. For dive, goats. Goats with a Winston. So, yeah, again, Mercy gets picked here. Nothing we can do there. Dive goats. It's the best option you have. It's brilliant. Totally works every time. Good disengage here, though, so let's see how the next fight plays. Just go goats, forehead. You should hate me, because you know I'm not wrong. But the issue with this here is that generally when you play Widow, you want to be playing like Tracer or something. Just play goats, dive goats, snow goats, mountain goats to me. Soldier is the best option there. Oh, I actually really don't agree with that. I don't agree with the soldier option. I like him on this point, but I don't like soldier in general. I feel like you can make different compositions that work better. I like Pharaoh and Lijiang Tower, but I generally would prefer like Tracer isn't a bad option. I mean, if you're trying to run a dive, soldier can work. I just generally don't like him. I don't like the McCree. I'm talking based on their comp now. Yeah, I still don't like soldier. I'm still not a soldier fan. Alright, so let's see how this attack goes. Alright, so direct dive in. Good. Alright, so that was a weak dive from the Winston. Res up. Yeah, okay. Now you thought you were fucked on this? No, that was a bad. Isn't soldier more forgiving for lower ranks? Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, but the way that I mean, I thought we had 2 die right, but here, okay, so here's the thing. One, they let you get the res off, so it was really only a 1-to-1 trade. And the Winston jump here, and so this is kind of I think I would call it. Oh, wow, we went too far back. I'm sorry, I apologize. Further up, further up, further up. Okay, so I'm gonna go back here. So I need to be looking at, we're red team. I need to be looking. Yeah, okay. So here's the problem with this in particular, is that so when you come into dive, right? I think people, I want to say, overestimate what they're supposed to do in dive. They know that they use a cooldown to get in, and then they dive on a target and it dies. That's not exactly how it goes. One, you need a proper target. You have so this dive is hyper premature from the Winston. One, he's diving directly into their team, and there's no squishy without a mobility, or with no mobility cooldown. So he's no one he can directly, almost even one tap, right? If there was a Zen, maybe I understand what he's going for, right? But Hanzo can just jump out, and there's a lot of bursts coming in with the Hanzo. Lucio can speed out. Zarya and Ryan are not going to get bursted down by a single Winston, and then Mercy is free to leave, and Pharah is free to leave. So there's no one really to kind of take it, like, to singular jump. And when you singular jump like this, what it does is it forces you to use 2 cooldowns, and you have done no damage, so there's no one to jump on to finish off a kill. What's essentially happening is you're jumping into 6, and you have about 6 seconds before you can leave. And if you can't get a kill in those 6 seconds, then you're jumping uselessly. So when this dive comes through, right, he dives right in, and the damage, I mean, look how quick he gets wrecked. From the Hanzo, from the Pharah, it's just, you're so low automatically as a Winston from this dive here, and that full team is already turning around to look at you. Now, it does distract, quote-unquote, from the Pharah, but he dove even before the D.Va came in. The D.Va couldn't defense matrix him. When you run dive, especially against a team like this, you either need to wait for some sort of damage to come through, whether or not it's a Widow body shot, Pharah, one hit before you can hard engage like that. When you're set up a comp like this, you shouldn't hard dive. You can have some pressure at the front here, right? You can just kind of fight on the bridge and pressure the front a little bit. And then when either your Widow or your Pharah starts to do damage and forces cooldowns and gets someone low enough, then you can dive in. But if you dive in too aggressively like this, especially without your D.Va right behind you with the DM, you're basically saying, look, I'm 500 HP or however 500 HP of you to just burst down. And in particular, they have a damage boosted Pharah and Hanzo with Storm Arrow. You're going to get chunked down really, really, really quick. The idea is just to not force the play. It's to allow your damage dealers to maybe create a crossfire, right? You could have the Widow go far right room and take a, you know, an angle this way, or like you can take the angle this way, try to do damage that one. There's a lot of diving because the team will feel pressed to make it play. Yeah, I agree. One of the hardest things for people to learn is to play patiently. This is a good barrage. But patience is really the name of the game for basically all of Overwatch. Especially in the meta now. Like, yeah, you have to make a play at some point, but plays will not naturally create themselves, right? But you also need to rely on your composition to do what the composition needs to do. You have this Widow, you have this Pharah, just, you know, you can play a little safer, wait for this damage to come through, wait for the bubbles to go down. This is just kind of a classic example of going in without a cooldown. So one of the ways that, what was it? Like Vanilla Goats, I guess? Moira Goats was beaten, or the way that it was beaten besides the, you know, the rock, paper, scissors style of the Ana Goats, which came and beat Moira Goats because of the anti-nade. One of the ways, what you would need to do is it was a patient dive, and it was something, I believe, it was Fusion University who did this, was they would play, I remember specifically on Kings, they played dive tanks, but they had a Junkrat and a Widow, I believe, was there too. And the idea was that they forced out the Moira to use her Fade, as well as her Orb, by chunking a lot of damage in with the Junkrat, as well as the Widow. And once that happened, once like an armor pack went out from Brig, then the dive tanks could go in more effectively because they weren't afraid of the Moira getting away. Whereas a lot of teams, when they were trying to run into Goats initially, especially like lower SRs, they'll just jump in without waiting for... Goats with Zen is 1,000 times better. Well, it's 1,000 times better at the pro level. I think Goats with Moira is good at the low SR because it's a lot more forgiving. Because what Goats with Zen needs to do is it needs to keep track of cooldowns effectively. Yeah, it's a skill. It's a skill matchup. Like, the team that's better at Zen Goats will beat the Zen Goats. And a good Zen Goats team will beat a good Moira Goats team. But you have to be good at bursting them down. That's the thing. Like, theoretically, there's this kind of triangle of Goats where you have, you know, I'll just use it. I like this, even though I have a white screen. It is, you have, like, okay, let's go with the, actually, no, let's go with the OG. So you have the Moira, and you have the Ana, and you have the Zen. So it started was Moira initially, and then the Ana would beat the Moira because the value of the Moira Goats was this high impact healing. And what Ana could do was an anti-nade and take that away, as well as having infinite healing, whereas Moira only has resources, right? Like, she cannot heal when she's out of her beam or if she's done with her ball. So she's kind of stuck, right? If you can just outlast it, the nade that increases heals allow the Brig and the Lucio to do a lot more healing to keep them up. And then the Ana obviously has heals, and she has infinite heals because she always has ammo. And the anti-nade just totally takes out Moira's effectiveness. And her ult isn't as good as Nano in terms of keeping your Rhine alive. And then the Ana Goats got beaten by the Zen Goats because the Ana's healing couldn't deal with the burst potential of the Zen. So that went away. And then Zen Goats, uncoordinated, a Moira Goats can beat a Zen Goats. But that's like the shittiest of the matchups. Like, it's like, meh. It's like, that's not really the direct. But this one is direct to this, and this one is direct to this. So teams have just gone to this because this is the most optimized composition. And when you're coming into it, thinking of it at a pro level, it's the level of coordination you need is already going to be there because it's required for you to be a pro to coordinate that way. So Zen Goats just gets used because it's the natural best. When things like double sniper meta were big, it was because the two snipers could hit those shots. If your team can't hit those shots in the same way, double sniper isn't useful. So it's at that point, it's a skill matchup. My go-to Goats when it comes to like lower elo is probably Ana Goats, because you get a lot more value than Moira Goats, but you don't quite need the level of coordination you do with Zen Goats. So I think it's a good middle ground. Well, that's my personal thing. Ah, wrong thing. Pull up. You. Okay, so that res comes through, so now it's even. As long as your Ana knows what nade is, not meant for healing. Yeah. It doesn't, but there's value in knowing what the meta is. To a certain extent. To a certain extent. We're fucking already at 80%? Shit. We're really, really rolling through this. It's going to be tough for them. Huh. Okay. See, now this is the problem where now you do have to play aggressive because you're going to be forced to make a play. All right, so this is going to get us set up a crossfire. Big. Good DM. Big. Nice shot. Is that Carpe? No, it's not Carpe. Okay. Ha. Yeah, see? She goes on the point. It's very hard for her to get anything done. Oh, yeah, you hate to see him. Hate to see that happen. All right, so this is just... if they come back and take this, that would be fucking stunning. Don't think they do. They definitely don't. All right, cool. So let's roll back. Let's roll this back and just kind of see. So the big issue with this fight here coming from the red team is that you are forced to make a play. You're forced to dive into an uncompromising situation because the point is already by the time you spawn at 80. Thoughts on having Zen rather than Lucio for red team's comp? I hate that. I don't like that, actually. Because that's less healing. The Zen can't... So, like, when it comes to supports, the reasons that certain... So, if we break it down, like, the easiest example on how supports function as a duo can be seen with dive. So if we know what old dive was, like an older dive that we saw, with like New York XL and Overwatch League as a whole was Mercy Zen, and then we have this newer version of dive, which has been on a Lucio. When and this is when we're going into and occasionally you'll have Ana Zen, but you need high ground for it. So like Rialto or Kings first, you can run the Ana Zen. But this was when it was the Doom Sombra. This was the healing duo. And the reason for that is what the most important thing that healers need to be able to do for each other is peel for each other. And that means they have to heal each other or get each other away. What this duo used to be able to do was the Discord on the Zen plus a Mercy Pocket allowed the Zen to have a much better chance of fighting through a diver, and Mercy could heal through a Winston. So a solo Winston dive could not kill a Zen with a Mercy Pocket. Now it can. So as that happens, as Ana gets a little bit stronger, this becomes the more meta healing duo because Lucio, when the divers come in, you're allowed to... no, it was a Mercy nerf. But I guess that pseudo buff went in. The Lucio can boop away and then speed the Ana away from the diver, which allows her to get healed up from the Lucio. And if she needs to, she can nade herself. I don't, you shouldn't use nade on yourself often, but you can. It's an option there. And if you look at the other healing duos that you have potential, right? If you have Ana Mercy, Mercy can peel, but it's the same issue there. As well as lacking a defensive ult, so you are always going to lose against a team wipe ultimate, such as you have nothing to bring against a Nano Blade or a Grav or anything of that nature. So you have no defensive ult there. If you go Zen and Ana, then the Zen, it's harder for the Ana to heal the Zen, especially when the Winston puts his bubble down because she can't heal through the bubble, and the Diva DM can eat nades and healing shots from the Ana, so the Zen's going to have a tough time healing. And he doesn't heal enough on the Ana for her to survive. And the only way it's going to work is they need to be on the high ground in such a way that it's going to force the enemy divers to commit into them, and then your team can come and peel back. So your Diva can come and peel back. So the time that it takes them to use their cooldowns, your team is free to come back, possibly without cooldowns, and they can, beat them in that sense. And then Moira Ana, again, you really have no good defensive ult. Moira can heal the Ana through, but you lose defensive ults. Moira is not great at healing, and she doesn't have extra utility like the Zen does with the Discord Orb. So these were kind of the two meta compositions, and I think the value of the Lucio in this comp that the red team was running here, the red team is running is you have speed, which allows your divers to get in once the damage is done. So the speed is the utility that gives your team, and you have sound barrier, which is very useful. Yeah, I'm doing Lijiang. I'm doing 2 maps. Don't worry. We're gonna have a Kings, and we'll have Lijiang. So once this fight goes down, right, and you're getting to the 80% mark, you really have to take you have to win the fight, or you don't win the fight, or you lose. Yeah, I think I am doing a Kings. I should be. This is taking a really long time, but I know how I am, so I expected it. Anticipated it, don't you worry. So now you're pressured in a situation where you have to dive in, and there's no damage. You're diving in to a Rein Zarya on the low ground into ultimates. It's really going to be a tough match. Though the good rotation was a good rotation from the Widow. Because it set up a crossfire, they were forced to concentrate on the point, and then the Widow could get damage done. So that's done. I want to pop this open. Okay, nothing there. Good. Let's move on to Control Center. Alright, so what do we got? Okay, so better heal composition. Okay, let's see what we roll out with. I ain't gonna say nothing until we know. Okay. Okay. Moira goats. Alright, sorry. I wanted to know. I saw a Mercy and a Brig as the 2 healers, and that was gonna be bad. So let's see here. So composition-wise, another one where I prefer, and by the way, we did see on that last point why having point control is so important when it comes to the Pharah to Pharah matchup. In that way, the only way they have a chance of beating Ramza, yeah, that's right, just burst him down, just kill him forehead. When it comes to this composition, I mean, I don't think it's terrible. There are definitely a lot better options here. Grab Dragons is basically dead now. It doesn't provide a lot of value. You can survive it so many different ways under the sun. It's not as strong as it was. So that combination doesn't really warrant the Hanzo pick. If I were to pick anything here, I would go with a Junkrat as a DPS, because you have that. They're going to be bulked up. What the Junkrat can do, and obviously you don't know they're running a Moira, but what the Junkrat can do is, again, burns the Moira's resources, so she's not going to be able to heal, which allows the tanks to move in. If that was the case, I don't mind the Ana, because that allows you to outlast their team, so that's actually a good combo. Right now, I'd probably go for the Zen, because I'd go for the Zen over an Ana, because that's going to allow the Hanzo to do more damage. Now, it makes it harder for the Rein to survive, but the Hanzo really isn't going to provide much value against a composition like this, because there's no one you're going to be able to one-shot here, and there's going to be so much shielding that your Storm Arrow isn't going to be able to do much. Also, why is there no Ashe? Because she's really only good on specific points. Ashe needs to be in a middle ground. Ashe is really only useful. So the way I think of it is that Ashe is, so if we think of, I like to think of Overwatch like lines. That's how I think of Overwatch. Think of them like lines, where if you have, say, so this is how I'll think. You mother. Break this down, because I think this is a good way to think about things for people. think of Overwatch like lines, and also like the video game Splatoon. If you want to know about that, you can ask me. Okay, so this is Dive, Goats. This is Widowmaker versus McCree versus Ashe. So the way that I think of this is I think lines. If you want to know, I'll tell you after this. So for me, what it is I base off. So a lot of my coaching comes from soccer. Right? A lot of my not strategy, but ideas on how things should work comes from soccer, because I think there are a lot of similarities in the sport between Overwatch and soccer, as bizarre as that sounds. And one of the things that it is lines. And what I mean by lines is not, like a straight line, sideways line, upside down line, whatever. It's where your specific tanks or DPS or healers are positioned. So if you're playing soccer, for example, right, you'd have, say, this is a standard soccer formation. It's a 4-3-2. There's 4 here, 3 here, and 3 here. You have a line and a line and a line. So a back line, mid line, front line, right? And oopsies. Let's delete all those dots, right? And so with dive, right, if we go on old standard dive, and by old standard dive, I mean like, we're going with like Genji, Tracer, Winston, Diva, Mercy, Zen. Let's go with that. So the way, and now obviously this isn't, cut and dry, because Overwatch is very much, a fluid game. And lines are, there's a lot more rigidity when it comes to lines. But generally you can kind of understand how the lines work. I'm going to put these farther back, this more here. And this is more of a dramatized version. This is how I like to explain it. So in the old style of dive, yes, I'm playing the goalie. The way we think about it, the way I like to think about it, is our lines are very spread out. The Zen obviously doesn't have the mobility, especially without a Lucio, so he sticks more in the back. And as the dive comes through, you obviously all start together, but as the dive follows through, the main divers are going to be these 4 right here, and these 4 are going to be tasked with spreading your lines out and moving the dive forward. Now, the reason I have Diva in this mid line is Diva plays the midfield role when it comes to old dive, because her requirement is to go forward and shield like the Winston with a DM, but she needs to also be able to turn back and peel for the Zen as needed, and then the Mercy will come back and heal the Zen. So the Diva's defense matrix plus the Mercy's heal will keep the Zen alive. So good Divas are phenomenal at knowing where they need to be within their line structure. So when the dive is coming through, divas need to know they need to be forward, but they also need to be able to quickly turn around and peel if the need is required. So when their lines are very split, right? We want this to happen. We want this forward line to be punishing their back line, trying to ignore this middle, going for that back, and then we want our middle to be able to move forward and back with the heals and the protection, and our Zen in the far back line, so it requires them to use cooldowns to get to your Zen, and then you can counter dive. So our lines in dive are very split. Now, if we create a goats scenario here, right, where we have, I'll just use Ana, fuck it. No, let's go with Moira Goats, because Moira Goats shows this a little better. Let's go Rhine, Zarya, Byrig. Who's that other one? It's Diva. Then we have the Lucio. And then we'll have the Moira. If we notice, and this is how Dive is just one big dot. It's very true. But you could still technically split it up into 3 lines, with the Rhine and the Zarya, or the Rhine and the Brig. Rhine really being the front of the line, the Brig and the Zarya being more in the middle, and then the Lucio and the Moira being the back. But the lines are so tight, they kind of overlap into each other, right? Brig will move into the front line a lot. But note, this is how close Goats wants to play. They always want to play together, which is why Goats doesn't work when the lines start to split. So we see the value of Goats is this one big death ball that runs on forward. But if our lines split, right, and we don't have everyone coordinated. The damage can't all come through because these guys don't have range, really. Or Brig in particular, plus Zarya and D.Va don't have a ton of range, and Ryan has 0 range. He has, I believe, tied with Brig the smallest range of any of the heroes, which means he's what you have to focus around, because if he can't do his damage, then if he's not close enough, then you're missing a source of damage right there. But if you only focus on what Ryan can hit, that source of damage will always be there, and then everybody else who has longer range should be within range of it. But once we spread these lines out, we lose the value of the stun, the speed, the orb. D.Va has to use her boosters more to get where she needs to be rather than to contest high ground. So lines like this are a no-go when it comes to goats. You want your lines to be tightly packed. You want to be all the way up together, tight in a line like this. So bada boom, bada boom, bada boom. So that's how lines work when it comes to formations. Now, when it comes to lines for the Widow, the McCree, and the Ashe compositions, right? The way I think about this line is the range, right? So when it comes to Widow, you're generally in the far back, right? Widow has the range. Her being far back forces attention. It's going to force cooldowns and things like that, right? So we'll have Widow in the far back. McCree is in the far front. He's in the closer lines. The reason McCree's here is because his value comes from the stun. He's short range. His damage fall off is further than Widow's. His stun is a short range ability. He has a little bit of mobility with his roll, but not really a ton. He's short range. Yeah. That's why Doom has been so strong, is because he makes it... Since they have to move as a unit, that bit of the ability to force someone away is valuable. Massively valuable. And it's the reason that Hammond was initially used as a GOATS counter when he first came in, and they were running like if you look in like the Incheon group stages before some of the changes went through, before it was like the Mercy change, I think, that came through, a couple of changes, right? When GOATS was coming, or it was before the Ana change. I think it was before the Ana change. That was the big one. And Incheon, I think, was the change that didn't happen. Hammond was used as a kind of pseudo GOATS counter, because what he does is as he swings up and rocks down, all 6 are going to be together, so he gets a lot of damage, gets a lot of ult charge, and he's denying them time, right? So since he jumps GOATS all the way up, they're stuck in the air, they can't move their formation forward. And, if he's in the middle of that 6, his shields give him 600 health, so he's free to just get out after that. The stun, whatever, but when they weren't running Zen Goats, the stun wasn't going to come to fruition because the damage isn't there. And that 600 health to burn through does take time. So he's kind of free. It's just making ult charge, and then what he could do is he could throw in his mines, which again force them to split their formation or to traverse around, and they don't have cooldowns to move, so they have to take the time. So it just burns time off of GOAT's clock. If you look at that, like South Korea was very big into using Hammond against GOATs, because what GOATs does at that highest level is, now obviously there will be teams that are better than at GOATs than other teams, but when it was the initial GOATs with the Moira, right, what GOATs did was it took teams who had really tight, really, really high tier communication, and that's what you need for dive, right? So you have these teams up high, you have South Korea all the way up here, and then you had teams with low coordination, not enough coordination and skill to run dive. These teams would run GOATs, and what that does is it brings their level closer in terms of skill, in terms of a fight, to those high tiers, because the value they can get out of GOATs is similar to the value they'll get out of dive, or that a better team would get out of dive, but with much less coordination required. Right? A strong dive requires a lot of coordination, and a good GOATs does as well, but it's not as much. So it was the great equalizer of it's specifically the first World Cup stage. It was the big equalizer, because teams could still run dive in that first stage, and it forced teams to kind of play differently. And that's why South Korea was adamant with the Hammond. They wanted a counter to GOATs, because they knew that teams were going to kind of do their best to even that gap of skill to win the games, so they had to come up with a strong goats counter. And that's why Hammond was used there. But coming back to this, Widow is in the far back, right? McCree is in there. Ashe sits squarely in the middle. And when you want to pick an Ashe is when you don't have a long enough sight line here to pick a Widow to get value, right? But you're also not going to be brawling, and you're not going to be wanting the stun. So like people were saying, well, let's put Ashe in the same triple support composition as McCree. Problem with that is the idea of that triple support McCree comp was his stuns. You wanted to chain stun things like Doomfist and Sombra to get the kill on them, to not allow them to come in there. It was built as a counter to Doombra, Doom Sombra, whatever. Ashe does not have that stun, and now while she does have the to get them away, that's not enough in a lot of cases. You need to be able to chain stun them and then discord them, and that damage coming through is going to be able to kill those flankers, so it punishes the flankers for going in either less coordinated or kind of willy-nilly due to the chain stun. But because Ashe doesn't have that stun, she doesn't quite fit in the same spot as McCree did. So one of the places that I've seen Ashe get run to great effect is Nimbani A defense. Because Widow doesn't have quite as many sight lines, you can flank far left on it and then get the shot on the Ashe, but she doesn't have the same type of sight lines Ashe does. And if you run, a Brig, Zen, and a Mercy, I haven't really been running Ashe a lot with my teams because we're, practicing goats. Why would she be behind with? Oh, she's not. I'm just kind of a. That's just kind of a. This is all one front line. That's all one front line. It's not that the Tracer has to be behind the Winston has to be in the front. This is all just one front line. I just like to put that triangle there to kind of signify that, one, I like the triangle. Again, it's more akin to a soccer formation for me, which is how I visualize it. And it kind of shows that they're going to be a bit more spread out. They're not going to play as tightly together as a Goats would. But anyway, Nimbani A, right, you get like a Mercy Zen Brig, and the damage that Ashe can do is super strong, and she's not necessarily going to want to be on the point. She can use that high ground to constantly be pumping out damage. The Mercy can go down and up very easily to be with the Ashe, but heal down on point. The Brig can prevent a dive in the same way that the McCree comp does, and then the Zen allows even more damage to come through. Hey, no problem. This is doing my best. I have a couple others, like the Splatoon one. I guess I'll go into that later. It's pretty basic. It's not anything like crazy. It's just a way to visualize it. So let's get into the game. Bottom line. Shoot. We're fine. We're good. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Sending love. I love the love. Love is good. Trying to help. Just doing my best. I would prefer a Junkrat here. Sorry, just gonna go with that. The key is gonna die. There it goes. Rams is gonna die. Bubble was gone. Yeah, that engage was so quick. It was gonna be almost impossible for the Hanzo to find any value. Which is why you don't want to run it now. Ooh, I would have pressed a little more aggressively, but now we can come around this corner. Play this corner. You want to be as the red team because of the Pharah, right? The Pharah can't get value. Lost in the spawn room. That's fucking right. Pharah can't get value. And again, if we look at like Grab Dragons is really the only reason you run this combo. I also hate Pharah. Go into this in a second. But since Grab Dragons is really the only thing, you have this, and this, all these support alts. And the thing about Goats, and it's a totally different change. One of the things that oh, hey, there I am. I'm down there. One of the things that I noticed with teams that I coached as we transitioned into a more Goats meta, coming from dives and triple support McCrees, is that the teams are much less willing to just throw your ult. Obviously, you don't just throw your ult with no reason, but ults in Goats, they come up so quickly. Like a trance, for a lot of people, is like, we got to save trance for their grav. But sometimes the value in a Goats comes from using a trance to keep your Rhine up, to allow that push to sustain. And then you can build grav quickly and then do a grav bomb. And it's a difference between thinking of an ultimate as a game winner or a entire prevention or, you know, instant 3 picks or anything like that. All it is an advantage. What an ultimate really is just your team having an advantage over the other team. So if your Ryan gets low and the other team's fighting you, if you trance, you now have the advantage. You can move forward, right? And then if their team trances back, then you might respond with a barrier. In GOATs, if you watch any high-level GOATs play, you'll see tons of ults come out. And I think a lot of people don't quite understand that it is entirely okay to be less picky with your ult usage. Obviously, every ult in GOATs has its use, and you need to use it properly. You shouldn't just barrier for no reason. But saving the life of just your Reinhardt with an ultimate is a totally fine use of it, because all it's doing is giving your team an advantage. And when it comes to GOATs, the health pools are so big. Something like a Shatter or a Grav is not going to instantly wipe them. It just doesn't happen. So you don't have to save these these big ults to keep everyone up. And like, if you trance and then you win the fight, maybe you don't have trance for the next fight, but you have barrier for the next fight. You have options, right? You can be a little more freeform with how your ults get used. The only thing that really clears out of GOATs is a Grav Bomb, and that's what kind of teams do now. That's the big thing. It's Grav Bomb. So the thing with this big thing that we want to be doing here is we want to be taking this space here as best we can, holding this, potentially holding here, which allows us to rotate up and meet them in this hallway, which is even less value for the Pharah, and then move over this way if we need to get to the White Room if they press the White Room. The idea is that we just don't want Pharah to get into the open air. Once she's up high, it's going to be harder for us to deal with. Now, obviously, we have the D.Va, but there's no Discord to really handle her, and if the Moira is, sucking in the sky, then she's not healing. So, Ramza's already there. Ramza's ready. He's ready to Ramza. So we want to be keeping them. I would have said probably the best thing to do here, and I'm a very aggressive coach. When it comes to Overwatch, I'm an aggressive player, and I'm an aggressive coach. I would have ideally, we have so much health here. The only one that really needs to go back is Tyler. I would have just gone up here and pressed this. Lost Ramza. Key had died. We can go, we can press, and we can get these kills. One of the big things that teams who are willing to extend to get those final picks are ones that are going to do a lot better. I would have definitely gone in here. There's so much health. We're almost at ultimates. We can continue to push this advantage, and if we hold this doorway, if they can maintain the comp that they are at, we win. Or red team wins, not we win. So I would have been aggressive here. I would have told my teams to be aggressive here, to go fight. I love that doorway. It's one of my favorite doorways. Yeah, I want to fight. We should be pushing forward. Oh, big shatter, big shot. Good use of speed boost. I like that. Ooh, probably should have seen that one coming. When it comes to GOATs, right, shatters are huge. So now it's going to a brawl. And see, now this fight doesn't start until 20% if you take it aggressively. He almost bailed your ass out. Oh, Ramza, my man. Which one? Well, yes and no. If I remember this fight correctly, which I don't because I'm bad. Let's go back. Let's go back. Key with the 3 kills. Ramza with the huge play for Team B. Huge play for Team B. Let me want to see. I want to see. No, it wouldn't. Well, yes and no. One of the things that you need to do, this is still a good chatter. One of the things you need to do with that, right, is you need to wait until this bubble comes down, because the bubble can, one, prevent the stun from even happening if they see you going for it. or it can just block the shatter. So realistically, the best thing to do is, again, like, the thing that I'm seeing here is, well, first off, Tyler shouldn't be over here, right? If we're over here, we can use DM to prevent any of that spam damage from coming in. Yeah, that. You really want to be confirming whether that Zarya has bubble or not, because bubble can block everything that the Bring in Round want to do. But the thing is, right, we want to be preventing damage coming in from the Hanzo and from the Diva, or Pharah, because what this will allow, it'll allow us to move forward, and we can pressure. Look at all of the health we have, barring Tyler. Don't be in the fucking flowers. That's right, Grip. You know it, baby. You know it. You know it. And because all that damage is not going to really come through as we're DMing it, and the amount of health we have is insane, we can start to use ults, 1, to gain an advantage, so we can keep this pressure going, but 2, we can force that bubble out. Once the bubble is forced out, then we can stun shatter. And at this point, right, we're swinging. We definitely need to know he has shatter. That's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. Oh, brother. That's rough. That is rough. You didn't even kill the guy on the floor. Key with the big direct. Key with the big direct. Key with the big direct. 3 directs. Someone get this man a team. Man's on fire. Man is on fire. So now we're at 50. So this is going to be a really tough fight, period, coming to the side of Team A. We're going to go for a Grab Dragons, but they have all of their support all ups. It's just not going to get value. And then the only thing they can do after that is Sound Barrier. And the problem with this is, again, if we're playing this aggressively, now this is kind of a staggery fight, but if we're playing in this door, we're going to get so little value out of our DPS that we're just not going to be able to handle the amount of damage that's going to be coming into us. Still didn't get the point. Yeah, that's what happens, man. That's goats for you. I had a game literally tonight. Before this thing, I was coaching my team. I was in a scrim. It was a fight. It was a goats fight that used 10 ultimates. The whole fight. And the fight happened in like 20 seconds. It wasn't even a long fight. It was 10 ultimates. The only people that didn't use ults were one of the divas and I believe... Now the Rhine used it. I believe the Zarya. Yep, see? Now the anti-nade, that's a good anti-nade. But you didn't even get the break. Like, there's so much damage coming through. Now, we can see, right, look at the lines. They're getting split, right? They're not playing as a unit. There's a good use of a grav here. Now the point should definitely come onto the side of blue. So now this is a little bit harder for the red team because they're coming into the Pharah, which means the Pharah is going to have a lot better time. But again, the ceilings are so low. This team can't play aggressively, so they're going to allow this team to come up into all of this space. It's good anti-nade. All right, but you can't follow it up. All right, what do we got? Anything. Ooh, good split. That's a great Dragons. Brilliant. Beautiful done. Beautifully done. Now it's cleanup time. And see, this is where I would, use that speed. The Lucio's value coming in with the speed, you could definitely have come up with a couple more kills there, which makes it harder for them to come in and contest. But if you notice how low to the ground Pharah is, right, it's very hard for her. It's going to be very hard for her to get as much value. Well, now she has to leave. She's so low. See, line splitting, right? 2 tanks over here, 4 over here. Oh, this is huge. Fucking big. I remember that shit. That was big. That was El Normiso. Now again, I'd take it aggressively. Oh, you're emoting. How low to the ground is literally standing on the floor. It's not wrong. See, now we play aggressive. This is great. We have shatter. We know we can play aggressive. Ooh, dangerous charge. Bubbles down now. Good shatter. Big plays. All right. And that's point done. There's no way nobody's going to be able to take that. The Ryan charge was huge. So let's look at, oh, Hippo, you tried so hard. Let me go back to that Ryan charge, because that I will say is probably the best executed play we could have seen, right? So there's 2 bubbles coming out here, right? And this is what's huge. The charge, the timing of the bomb was perfect, because one of the things that allows people to survive those, these bomb whatevers is the shield, plus the Zarya and the shield. So ideally what you should do, now the Ryan charge is what it's going to be, but ideally what you want to do is you want to save your Zarya bubble when you see a Brigitte coming in. That way you can bubble that, and they'll try to go for the bash, and the bash won't go through. Charge does get through. Big charge with perfect timing. Ideally, the Diva Bomb would have been timed a little bit better, but I can't really say much about that. If I had to nitpick that. That was great. Big plays. Big plays. That should be it. Yep, that's over. Now, I do want to ask any main tanks in, right? I know Ram's in, and any other main tanks that are in here. Do you guys know how to, with Reinhardt, move the Reinhardt using your hammer to get a shatter off behind him? You guys know how to do that? That's a really cool thing. I just want to know if anybody knows how to do that, or if they would like me to show it off. No? Oh. Would you like to see it? No? Oh. No. You're going to see some high IQ play. Alright. This is fucking big. Let me pull it up. Let me pull it. This is my favorite shit. Alright, let me pull it up. Hold on. I gotta go. Let's go. It's South V Run. Yeah, South Korea V Runaway. Show match.
Maybe I'm going to have to pause it.
Whoa. Thanks. Okay, yes. I gotta go to, which one is it? Did they go Lijiang first? They did go Lijiang first. Let me find it. I'll find it for you guys. Because this shit was huge. And it's one of the reasons I'm a huge fan of Team Runaway. Well, specifically Bumper. Is this it? This is it? This has got to be it. This has got to be it. Sorry, you have no idea what I'm watching. Yeah, there it is. All right, cool. So, let's go with, goes to the right. Yes. Okay, now, this is going to be some 3000 IQ shit, right? You ready? No, it's going to be dope. All right, cool. Let me pull up my white screen. You haven't seen my white screen yet? This is a front classic. I do this on all my streams. I got my white screen. Secret Shaolin Ryan tip. So, when it comes to Reinhardt, Ryan's hammer has natural knockback. So, when you get hit with Ryan's hammer, you get pushed a little bit. Yeah, I know. Sorry, you get pushed a little bit when you get hit with Ryan's hammer. So, if Ryan's hammer is going this way, right, you're gonna get pushed with it. Now, what Reinhardt's can do is when there's an enemy Reinhardt in front of you, and you're looking for a shatter on his team behind him, what you can do is you can position to the right of him. Your hammer always starts going from right to left. So what you can do is on your first swing, you come through, you swing through, that will boop the Reinhardt slightly, and if he's jumping, it'll go even further, right? Because if you're not jumping, you're kind of planted and you don't move quite as much. But if he's jumping or even moving this way, he'll go away, and that'll open up the shield for a shatter in the back, right? Sounds good. Yeah, it's a cool thing to do. So if you see a Reinhardt position, say, here, and his team is a little bit off to the side, you can move this way, swing across, move his head, and then go and move his body, and then get that free shatter in the back. Yeah? Sound cool? Now, really top tier Reinhardts, get a black board. Do you want me to use a black one? I'll use a black one. I'll get the black one. I'll get the blackboard. Sorry. I don't mean to blind you with my frump special. Oh, God. I don't even know how do I delete all these? Oh, shit. I think if we reset the timeline, it kills everything. Okay. All right. Does Lucio's speed boop affect his boopiness? I think maybe a little. I think potentially. Also, I have another thing that's cool, but it's a small thing. You can speed boost a Rhine charge. So if you amp right as the Rhine charges, he bullets out. I call it bullet Rhine, and it can take Rhines by surprise. It's hard to pull off, and it's kind of meme-y, but it's fun. Anyway, so you can do that. And another thing that really, really good Reinhardts can do is what they'll do if they know the enemy Reinhardt has his shadow, right? Like if you have shadow here, they'll position to this side because the swing will move them more towards their team. Yeah. So the swing coming to the right will actually move them more towards their team. So this Rhyme won't get affected by it. So it's good that way. But what a good Rhyme will do in this situation, right, is when he sees the Rhyme coming in to swing on him, if he jumps, he'll actually surf across using... so he'll surf across, quote unquote, or kind of like glide across to more of the middle to protect his team. Now, this is some 10,000 IQ shit you're about to get shown. Are you ready for this? I do not think anybody's ready for this. This is the best play, one of the best main tank plays I've ever seen. Sorry for the low quality. It's just what the stream looks like. So from South Korea versus Runaway, right? For the World Cup. Now, you got to wait till they engage here, right? We're moving back, we're moving back, we're moving back. This man Bumper. I love this man. All right, so Fate's coming in here. Oops. Bumper now has Shatter. Fate has to assume that Bumper has Shatter. He's been throwing fire strikes all day. He's going for it, right? So Fate, if you look, he's moving more to this side, right? That's where he's moving because the same thing. His swing would lead him more to the center. It makes it harder for him to land a Shatter. I'm going to let this play in full time, and I want to see if anybody notices because this is my favorite shit. Now they don't get a lot of kills off of it, or any, actually, but it was cool. Oh. He hit the second swing. That's right, isn't it? It's brilliant. It's the coolest thing ever. Exactly. So here, let's break it down because it's a little more than just he gets an extra swing in. So Fate is going this way, right? He knows that the enemy team is going to be back here, which means he wants Fate over closer to him. So, no, it's not just that. Bumper knows if he hits Fate twice, so it goes 1 and then 1, Fate will just be back where he's at. Yeah? So he has to hit him twice. But he can't hit this first swing, or else Fate, again, he'll move this way, and then the second swing will move him this way. So he needs to only hit one swing going left. So what he does, instead of going shield to shield, he uses his first swing on the pillar, so it doesn't hit Fate, right? First swing on the pillar, right here. Watch it. Right there. Doesn't hit Fate, because it hits the pillar. Second swing to the right. Fate moves. Opens up. Hammer down. That's some high-level shit. Right? Imagine doing that high pace against the South Korean team. Yeah, it's fucking brilliant. One sec. I mean, come on. Is that not good? Is that not good? That's my favorite shit. I love that shit. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it's so brilliant. Oh, it's so cool. I'm sorry. I had to show that off. I had to. Oh, it was good. Oh. All right. All right. One more point, and then we'll move on to Kings. I would not be confident enough in my ability to do that. It's tough to be able to pull that off. But that's like... That's just a cool thing. I just love that. I do. I think it's awesome. I think it's fucking awesome. It's my favorite. There have been a couple... I mean, there are a couple plays like that where you really can see just how well... Does Zarya friendly bubble stop Ryan from getting bumped? No. Bubbles still let momentum carry, right? Or was it a change that they don't let momentum carry? I don't think they do, actually. I think bubbles stop momentum. So I think if you Pharah concussed a bubbled Zarya, they wouldn't move, right? Or am I backwards? They let momentum? Okay, then it would still work. They changed Zarya's bubbles too much. All right, now let's go with what we're going to go. I actually don't know who wins this. But, man, they were still in the same comp. Now, this is where, if I not were to pick a team that's going to win, this actually has a really strong chance of beating this. Now, if this, I would like this even more if this was a Brig, right? Because what this allows is it allows the Rein and the Zarya to go kind of head-to-head in the frontline battle with their Rein, Zarya, and their Brig. And then what the Pharah can do is the Pharah can use the Mercy to build up her ultimate and to do damage and to waste Moira's resources, and then they can engage with Lucio's speed boost. So Pharah is really, really good against this type of goats because she wastes resources and she builds up her her barrage so quickly that she can, if she can just kill 2 people or 1 person, she can get value out of it. And the reason it doesn't quite work against the Zen is because the Discord allows the D.Va to be much better about killing the Pharah, and the Zen can obviously still pressure her, whereas Moira doesn't really do much pressure. So the win condition for me for this team is going to be that when the Pharah is not with this, to just very aggressively push into this team and use your, as a 6, so as a full 6, and then just use your superior healing to outdamage them and kill them. That would be mine. So we're moving this way, so we should go right to point here. That's like, and that play is on point with like where the runaway would like let themselves get shattered. It's just so good. Sorry, yeah. See, like this, I don't like. This is, to me, that shielding is like pointless, right? Because we're full health, and the D.Va is gonna be able to let Key survive, but since you're shielding back here, your Brig is going too aggressive, so there's not enough aggression with the Brig, so she's going to get bursted down. It looks like Key's going to hit that shot, let Brig die. I would, again, just fucking go in. Like, just go in quick. You have so much health. You can support your Brig, and you can finish off these kills. Like, you can get Hippo. You can probably get Panda. You can push Ramza out. There are a lot of options there. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it builds so fucking quick. Yeah, see, and that's what happens. But, like, look, now the Brig, or the Mercy is not with the Pharah. Pharah already has 60% ult. You kind of let your Brig die there. You definitely weren't stacked up as 6. In the same way, in the way that you needed to stack as 6. So, legitimately, like, this is a good comp. I don't like the Hanzo pick because he's just not getting... He's not going to get the value. If this was a Brig, I'd like it better. Or maybe a different DPS, like another... I mean, Hanzo's not bad, but I think you could optimize it more. But he also does a lot of spam, which is good against this type of goats because what spam does is it forces them to use their Moira. Like, look, already has ult. It's just waiting. So a team like this, right, instead of going down here, when you're running against a Pharah as a goats and you lose your fight, you have to assume that she has Barrage because she'll get it so quick. So the better option is to just come up high ground because inevitably you're going to drop into this courtyard anyway, and pushing up on the high ground prevents the Pharaoh from hiding here. She could hide other places, but it prevents her from hiding there, which is a really easy vantage point to just go there and then get bubbled. Now we made a swap to... So we got the Soldier. Soldier's not bad. Good healing on his own. I think a McCree could do well here. Like, if you went Zen and McCree, top. But I prefer McCree to Soldier. Boom. And that's it. That's that fight. Pharaoh was free up there. And this is the value the Pharaoh get. Ram's like, go fucking back. Go. Be aggressive. So you don't want the goats to fight with you on point. You want to make them expend resources at the door to get to point. Right? When they expend those resources, that's when you can go in. When they have to use a bubble, when they have to use an orb, when they have to use an armor pack, when they have to use speed boost, you're going to have a lot more fun. This is not a great switch. Yeah, what the hell are you doing, man? Let's get up there. Come on, let's just go. Let's be aggressive. I don't like the Pharaoh swap. Not going to get any healing. How do I get my ranked team to be as aggressive? Oh, you don't. You don't play main tank. If you're playing main tank, and I'm a main tank, I play main tank, you need a duo partner. It's very, very hard to have people... Like, the thing about main tank is when you hear people who are main tank and they climb, the thing that a lot of them say is, I either play Winston and I solo queue Winston, or if I'm playing Reinhardt, which you need to in like a GOATS, I either queue up with people, particularly a queue up with a healer is the best option for a main tank because you need someone who can consistently keep you alive, or people who rank up super fast on main tanks, they're micromanagers. So they'll tell the team how to play and they'll be very, very, very vocal because the thing about, like, that's kind of a min-max because if you think about it, like, so if we go into the thing where it's like no, yes, like no talking, yes talking, and then the team wins or the team loses, right? If you're not talking and the team wins, they would have still won if you were talking, most likely, right? If you were talking, your team wins, great, you did it. That's one way to do it. If you weren't talking and you lose, right? You weren't talking, you lose. You could have changed it, but if you were talking and you lose, you did the best you could. So for me, what you can add by talking, like if you didn't talk and you lost, then you might have lost because of something you didn't say, right? You can always add something, right? You can always say, I'm gonna barrage here. Please have bubble ready. Even if they don't listen to you, it's the same as not talking. And if they do listen to you, you got more value. So there's no reason not to. Now, if people are being toxic, whatever, but just mute them. Like, say your own shit. Like, season like 2 or something, I played only Zen, and all I did was call out Discords, and I won way more games than I ever should have. It was really easy. Discords were like, they're like drugs for stupid people. They're like, shoot that thing. Just do it. It's great. So I would get aggressive here. I would cut off their ability to get to point, because if they can fight on point with cooldowns, they have a better chance. Get aggressive. Come on, there you go, Ramza. Let's go. Come on, be a man. And your Pharaoh should win the dogfight. Back when they were... Yeah, that was brutal. I'm afraid to play main tank and ranked anymore. Just do it. Force to otherwise. Yeah, no, ooh, big grab dragons. Beat. He didn't have rally. If you had rally, you might have survived that. Or coalesce. If you had doubled up with the healing. That's a really good fight win. So, the fact that you've managed to keep a goat Zarya from having... did you block a shatter? I wasn't even looking. Let's look at it. Oh, nice. Big. Very big. Good shatter. Good shatter. Yeah, the fact that you've had a goats team And now it's going to be even worse because this guy has to win the 1v1 against another Pharaoh that has a Mercy Pocket. And now there's no Diva to contest it. It's just going to be worse. See, now, like, they're using bubbles. They're using speed to get in. Like, that's your advantage. Big kill on him. Enormoso, yeah. Taking those aggressive fights, forcing them to use cooldowns, big rip. That was pretty good, though. I enjoyed that a lot. Lots of good plays all around. All right, real quick, I'm going to be swapping to King's Row. I hope everybody's going to stay for that, too. Having a lot of fun. Are there any questions? Actually, do me a favor. I'm going to go get a drink of water. I'm going to fill up my cup. While I'm gone, ask any question you want, and I'll answer all of them. Well, maybe not any question, but most questions. So if you have questions, please ask them. If you don't, when I get back, we'll get right to it. Yeah, boy, back. Okay. Wait, I meant Gibraltar. I didn't mean Kings. Sorry. This is the minors. What? Alright. Yeah, dude, Warren, you're like my OG, man. You're doing... Thanks, brother. What can I improve? What did you think about my main support play? You were on... What were you on? Were you on team A or B? Yeah, I meant Gibraltar. Blue team, so you were the winning team's Anna. Yeah, I didn't see anything like stand out. I liked your anti-nades were good. Maybe, I don't know if you needed to communicate them more. I can't. When you're playing around into... Yeah, I actually thought you did quite well. I'm sure if I was, focused explicitly on you, I could see some more things. But if you want to, like, send me a VOD, I'll be happy to look at it. The biggest thing when it comes to main support is positioning. Being able to get yourself out of situations, sticking close to your Lucio if you're playing Ana. As well as damage boosting your Pharah when you need to, and staying high in the sky, even if you're healing low health or things on the ground. So always use the Pharah to get up to the top, if they don't have anything that can shoot like that. Kept the Pharah alive, so that's good. There you go. Where to send you VODs? DM me on Twitch. Or not Twitch, sorry. On Discord. I'm in the Discord, in the Owlet Discord. I think I'm under a coach. You just find Frumple, shoot me a DM, and we'll talk. I either can do them off stream or sometimes I do them on my stream. So now we're going into Gib. Let me delete this. Not delete this, but let's exit without saving you. Gibble. Where are you? Gib. Bug it. Alright. Okie dokie. Jib. Can you... answer my last question. When playing... I didn't see it. Sorry. Once you get your shatter, should you not fire strike full health targets because it leaves... Oh, no. Okay, actually. So, no. If the enemy Rhine knows that you're prone... Thing about Rhine is a lot of main tank play. Yeah, I meant Jib. I meant Jib. This is the minors, and I wanted to do a major and a minor before I did anything else. Too obvious to not fire strike. Well, so one of the things is fire strike. Yeah, it's that. How much it costs? $5. Is the best comp for Gibraltar still dive? I'll be honest with you. I don't play a lot of Gibraltar because it is not one of the open division maps, and all I've been screaming is open division maps. But honestly, the best comp for any map right now is some variation of goats. Winston Goats is great, but dive is still strong on Gibraltar. If you're not running a goats, dive is definitely the best. Anyway, yeah, if you fire strike a lot, good runs will notice and be able to, on reaction, shatter your fire strike. One of the things that I'll do is... So, like, here's the thing. It's kind of a balance. And everything when it comes to Reinhardt is mind games, right? It's all about outplaying the enemy Rein before, you even hit the pavement, right? It's about learning their... their habits and learning your habits and what you show and what you don't show. One of the things that I like to do when I'm playing Reinhardt, Fire Strike is your best way to build up ultimate against teams like, again, that aren't goats. A fat Fire Strike will net you, 30-odd charge, right, if it's really, really good. I was damage boosted. I once got 50% ult charge off one Fire Strike at the beginning of a match for a tournament, which was like, that was dope. Then I got early shatter and they had no idea what was going on. But one of the things that you can do, a good Rhine, if he notices you're not fire striking anymore, will know that you have shatter. So he's prepped for that. So what I like to do is when I have shatter, I'll throw about 2 or 3 fire strikes. I'll keep throwing fire strikes, but I do my best to miss, but make it look like I didn't miss. So like, if there's a Rhine here, right, like this is a Rhine, and the payload is here, I'll throw it and I'll aim at the payload because it's close enough to the Rhine that it looks like I'm going for him and I just missed, but I was actually going to the payload, so I didn't hit the 100 damage, which the healers can then use to charge their ultimates. So I show that I don't have it, quote unquote, but I do have my shatter, and then I can sometimes take them by surprise. Sometimes. It's not something you can always do. But generally what you want to do is you don't want to be fire striking at a close enough distance that they can react to shatter, because the 100 damage just isn't worth it. And the only time you should fire strike in that case is when you have a Zarya and you can call for a bubble. If you say, I'm going to fire strike, you can do that, and that allows you to fire strike that close. But if they're full health, they're just going to get healed up anyway. So, Gibraltar. Wrong. Gibraltar. Right. Yeah, I would say dive is the next best thing. I really like dive in Gibraltar. Then dive goats. It's goats. Just play goats, forehead. Okay. Dr. Professor Oak. And Ronaldo. That's an interesting name. Alright, so alright, let's do what I did before. Let's break down. Oh, you are getting fucked. Good break heal. Alright, let's break down this composition. Ronaldo knows about lines, that's right. Don't mind this one. I'm sorry. I don't mind this composition on defense. Double sniper still can be good, especially with the Discord. But D.Va has to be very good at counter, diving, or peeling for your Zen. Korean goat, scenic contenders, monkey. Monkey Ryan Zarya. I don't like it as much. I actually haven't. Every contenders match that I've watched so far has been a lot of goats with just standard. Um, the only time I've seen, I actually haven't seen that yet. I guess I have missed games where it's been played. I can understand why. I like the Diva for the bomb combo into the Grav, as well as the ability to eat a lot of the damage that can come onto a Ryan when you get stunned and discorded. It may be a result of Brig becoming less powerful through shields, but I'm not 100% on it. I have, like, hearing it, I don't know if I quite like that. Personally. Use the monkey to split the healer. Yeah. Like goats to goats, though? If it's going goats to goats, I still don't know how that edges out the Diva. Not goats to goats, I can see it. But goats to goats, I can't see it. Personally. But I don't know. Could be wrong. Ana goats. Okay, see, so that I totally get because in the lines of Ana goats, Ana's a lot further back. Generally. So I can kind of understand that. She can't peel for herself super well. Yeah, but so normally I would say that Zen Goats is almost always 110% the better option than Ana Goats for high-end teams. So I get that. If it was Zen Goats, Winston would have a hard time. So I guess I can get it, but I wouldn't be behind it. But I guess it depends team. Anyway, composition-wise. This can work on well on defense. I wouldn't be holding up on... So when it comes to Jib, the best place to hold first when it comes to dive compositions, right, is up on blue box. Blue box is right up here. Right here. So this is blue box. And I'm sure if you go in a game, you'll be able to see the blue box. Now, for me, the reason that I don't like generally teams coming up here, because most of the time you get, unless you can stop a fight right here, you're only going to get one fight. So you might as well take that fight in a position that gives you the most space on the point, or most space in the map. And that's where I'm going to kind of come with, let's come with the Splatoon comparison here. Splatoon, alright, hot take. And you can clip this shit. Hot take, Splatoon and Overwatch are essentially the same game. Boom. Hot take. Right? Splatoon and Overwatch are basically the same game. The reason is, for me, the main objective... I mean, alright, so... hope so. If you know Splatoon, right? If anybody's a fan of Splatoon, the goal of Splatoon is to cover the most ground, right, in the map. So if this is the map, right, and there's like, I don't know, a little thing here. The goal is for your team to cover the most of the map, more of the map than the enemy team in ink. That's your goal. Right? And even though it is a shooter, technically, you're not really attempting to kill people, and the only reason you kill people is because killing them prevents them from taking and painting the space and gives you an opportunity to paint more space. So really the only reason you kill people is because it gives you an advantage. The game would essentially be the same if you didn't kill people, if you couldn't kill people, right? Like, killing people in Splatoon is only used as a way to, one, allow you to paint more of the map, and two, prevent them from painting more of the map because one of their characters is dead. Now, let's look at this. This is a great comparison for this. If we're holding up here, right, and we know we're really only going to get one fight, the way dive works when it comes to your tanks is we want tanks on high ground dive tanks on high ground, because what that allows is you can hop down, not using your cooldowns, right? Just a little jump. Engage like that. And if you're pressured, you still have your cooldown to either jump back or jump further in if you can follow up on a kill. So when it comes to controlling space in Overwatch, when it comes to dive tanks, the space you control is space you can take without using cooldowns. That gives you an advantage. So if we're here on the dive, or even up here, right? The only place you can control up here properly is really right about here, right? This is the only space that you get. Anywhere outside of that zone, you have to use a cooldown to get to, and that puts you at a disadvantage. If you're here, all right, you control this space and about this space too, right? So you got those two. And those are the only places you can go. You also control this, but they can't get there. You control this, but yeah, I guess you could say you control this area too. Anywhere else you have to use a cooldown to get to, right? They'll have to use a cooldown to get up to you, but they'll push the cart. So at some point you're going to have to engage. If you're on blue box, right, you control up here, in here, down here. Obviously the blue box up here, so and you also, if you're here, you control these. Down here, and down here. And if you have a Widowmaker, right, which is a common comp, you also control all the way up here and all the way over here, right, because your Widow's going to sit on this sight line, and you technically control here. So if we color in all the spaces that you control for blue box, it's here. All right, color them in, boop, 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 and then I guess boop. If you're playing Widow, that's sort of a maybe, right? So that's all the space you can control with blue box. It's a lot of space, isn't it? If you colored it in this map, it would be about half of point A for Hanamura. And if you really only get one fight, doesn't this seem like the best place to take it? Because you have control over this. If they have to get up here, they have to use cooldowns. You don't, so you're at an advantage. So you control more space. And why do you kill people? Because they're trying to take your space. The only reason you kill anybody is because they're trying to take your space. Whether it's by pushing the payload or by coming into your zone. Right? You control all the space if you're up on that blue box. And you can control when and where the engagement takes place, because they have to push that payload here. It will eventually end up within your zone of control. And at this point, they'll have to take the point for it to be out of your zone of control. So Splatoon and Overwatch are essentially the same game. Because the goal is to have the most amount of space controlled, and you only really kill people because they're encroaching on your space. There you go. Put that in your books. It's not deathmatch. You're not trying to get the most kills. Any questions on that? So, again, overall, I just position defense up over here. More spatial control. Bada bang, bada boom, bada pow. Okay. So we'll go here. So this double sniper is going to be really tough for them to deal with. Again, there's a lot of burst damage here, which is going to be really hard. I would most likely, I would prefer, instead of the Zen, to have probably a Lucio. Just the speed works really well with dive tanks. Just with your healers, I think a Zen and a Moira is fine. Don't really like the Brig, because unless you're going to come up on this blue box, which is great, hold on. If you want the Brigates to control this high ground, so the red team is actually doing what they're supposed to do, which is come up on this high ground, but they need to get the Brig up here. Lucio can help the Brig out a lot more than the Zen can, because it allows her to move forward quickly to get her value, because she needs to close space. Oh, good kill on, and see kind of the problem that we have is blue team is defending, like, right, our Hanzo's up here, but the point's already gone. So the point's already behind him, so Hanzo's already in a bad situation. So you've already you're taking this fight and losing this fight as the payload gets pushed. Splatoon equals Overwatch. Oh, man, dude. If you post that and I get roasted, I don't know if I'm going to survive. I don't know if I am. You can do it. Do it for the memes. Ooh. Okay. Yeah, so we're losing our point. Wow. We're losing the point. So now we won't have the option to set up defensively. You're not posting it? Yeah, that's no fun, man. That is no fun. The problem with losing that fight here is, like, look where the cart is already. Post that in the Owlet. Yeah, do that. Look where the cart is, right? We don't have a lot of time, especially now. People are still coming off the respawn to contest. So the contest is going to be very staggered, if any. If they pick Lucio with the Lucio wall ride to fight with the dive tanks. Team H? Not necessarily. He can just use his speed to allow them to get in really quick. Yeah. And allow them to get in very quickly. And he could just get to high ground better and easier. No, so again, and the issue, they did dive quick, but the thing is you had nowhere to retreat. Right? You had nowhere to go. And you also don't have a Lucio to quickly leave. Like, this can work fine on something like Nimbani, where you're running the two snipers with like an Orisa. Or not Nimbani, Nepal. Where your healers aren't really going to get dove. And it's going to be tough for them to dive because you have a lot of ways to mitigate it. But your healers are both very exposed. And you had very little chance to retreat once they dove onto you. And so now the cart is really, really close. You're going to have a hell of a time to eat. First off, you have no defensive setup. It's very easy to break a defense for here because all it's going to happen is the cart's going to push under. You guys are going to have to rotate back there anyway. You might as well just start there because the fight is going to take place here whether you want it to or not. You might as well do it there as opposed to what happens here where now you take the first fight. They take the first fight, so they have ultimates. You're low on your ultimates, and it's less of an even fight. So you have no defensive setup. People are still coming off the respawn. So you guys are going to have a hell of a time kind of contesting this back. Right? Like, see, we're just diving in straight away. Like, we had to use a dive cooldown. That was not a bad peel, though. Kind of protected yourself. Ideally, I would... Whoa. Yeah. You're going to get burned so quick because you have no setup. You're forced to dive in and contest the point. Now Diva's going to get staggered. Oh, don't die. That would suck. Yeah, there you go. We should go commit to the Diva. Get a kill on the Diva. Try to DMAC her. That would be top tier. Yep, there it is. And see, so now what's starting to happen is a steamroll. And the biggest issue with these kinds of points is when it steamrolls. Especially when it comes to Gibraltar. So the thing about Gibraltar, because of the way that it's designed, yeah, look at that. You had to use a jump to get in, and you were forced down. You get very little value out of the dive. So what you guys are at now, you're at a massive disadvantage already. Blue team's at a massive disadvantage from red team. I don't mean to say you guys, but, Prophets here. Because, well, one, they have all their ultimates. You had no time to build ultimates. You just got murked early on, so they have a huge ult advantage. Huge, if you didn't see. I did see, yeah. Huge ult advantage coming on the other side. And we're not able to effectively dive them because of this Brig and this Moira. It makes it very, very hard to dive. Really, our only target is going to be the Zen. And if we focus on the Zen, the Brig can easily peel for him. It's going to be very, very tough to dive this. But with Gibraltar in particular, both point A and point B are very, very, very heavily dive-based because they have a lot of high ground, right? High ground here, high ground here, high ground all around here. So the most important thing with Gibraltar is defensive setup. Because ideally, if you take the fight like here, right, you lose there, but it allows you to die and then quickly reset onto this high ground. And again, you're really not going to be taking a fight much earlier than that, because if you do, you're on even footing with the other team. You never want to be even. You always want to have an advantage. And what high ground is going to do is give you the advantage. Yeah? So when you take this high ground, right, you can fight whenever you want. You take this high ground, same thing. The cart has to push in this area, and this whole area becomes space that you control. Plus, you can hop down here. You can even go here. You have a lot of options to contest this cart here. But if you don't set up on high ground effectively, what starts to happen is they start to steamroll. They win those two fights. They get their ultimates. They fight you on even footing. They use their ultimates to give them an advantage, which is what ultimates are, and then they come through and they wipe you. So you may stall the point around here, but they also, this is one of those situations because of how you lost that first fight and your inability to set up defensively and being forced to come and contest the card out here, which at this point I would have just given it up and then gotten high ground here, gotten an advantage, give up the point, whatever. Know that you can finish the map, try to stop them, take a high ground advantage instead of going in, and then you don't feed as many ults. But since you tell yourselves you have to go in and stop the point, you give them ultimates, you lose because your engage is not ideal whatsoever. They have the advantage on the engage, and it's hard to hard dive them like that because they have Brig. So it's very, very difficult to hard dive a Brig in a Discord. It makes it very hard. So you're at a disadvantage coming in while they know that you're forced to come in. They can zone you out. Like the monkey can jump here and zone out while your monkey jumps in, so he's alone. They have a lot of options. And when you lose this, you also lose the ability to set yourself up on this high ground, because they can come in and their dive tanks can go on this high ground and contest it before you get there. Let's go back here. Yep, so the cart's coming in. Going Tracer is a bad switch against a Brig. Alright, so now you're Transfer. So now you're taking the... Yeah, see? Boom. Not a great switch. So that was a good chance to try to push your advantage, but now they're just going to come in with ults. And this is going to be a bloodbath, it looks like. Oh, there's a trance. So it looks like there's no follow-up on targets. Ooh, big bomb. Big bomb. Yeah, it's kind of difficult from this main tank perspective to see, but typically when you run these dives, you need to be singling out targets, and the Winston seems to be very alone, which makes it a lot easier for the enemy team to peel. Again, yep, there's the steamroll. Now, point C is a whole different animal. And this, again, they're going to have a big advantage coming in here with their composition, right? How do I improve my monkey ult? I feel like I can't juggle people against the wall, and I get lucky. Practicing against bots is good. The thing I've found with monkey ults is that a lot of people get really, like, spammy, right? Like, they want to be doing a ton of... They want to swing on everything and as best they can. The way that I improved my monkey ults was slowing it down. So... really only trying, even if I don't get as much value, right, to slowly kind of be more methodical with it. Think more about what you're going to do, and make every click have meaning. So every jump, all right, I'm jumping here, I'm clicking here, and like only click once. All right, I know they're over there. Now I'm going to jump again and click again and doing that, and just being a little more methodical, and trying to nail down how every one of your hits affects them. But it's just practice. Monkey ult's a very difficult ult to use effectively. There's a lot of nuance to it. So it's just about kind of being very, very methodical, because like a lot of times you miss juggle because you jump too early, and you don't see how they bounce, or you jump too far. If you take your time, you'll probably end up getting more value. Or at the very least, you'll be able to speed up how you do things because you're starting to understand better. So I would definitely do that. Be more methodical. So when it comes to point C, they're going to have the advantage composition-wise. Now, point C on Jib is wholly different. There's very little effective high ground for you to use, and a lot of teams will swap right away to Rein Zarya. Low ground is just where the fight tends to happen. The corner right up here is where those tend to move too much. Yeah, exactly. Yes. They tend to just try to like do as much monkey disruption, and they don't really, they don't really get value out of it. Like the best monkey ult I ever had, I literally jumped once and punched once, and that was it. It was the most methodical. There was a diva bomb. I popped it. I waited. I knew what I wanted to do, and I just booped once, and then jumped, and then it got like, I don't know, 5 kills off of it. I think it was almost a team wipe. Booped the Reinhardt forward. Their team was behind him. Didn't know what happened. It's just about knowing what every single moves is going to do, so then you can plan your next move quickly. It's the same with like Genji Blades. Genji just try to slash dash, blah, blah, and they have no idea where they're at, as opposed to just, all right, where's the next person? All right, where's the next? Just slowly thinking, knowing. And then as time goes on, it's just muscle memory and you get it going faster. Point C has the corner. You want to go Rein Zarya. The reason they have advantage here is because as this corner is going to push, right, the second it gets past this corner, there is a high ground, but it's really only effective for the attackers because if we look at it, right, the high ground here, as the cart moves past here, if the Widow sits here, it's so hard to do anything about it because you have to commit your resources to going after the Widow. So you have to, like, all right, it's here. Your divers have to leave their backline and go after the Widow to prevent her from getting free shots, or else they'll just ping shots all day, especially if you're dive where you don't have a consistent shield. So a lot of teams, they want to play the Reinhardt here so the Widow can't get up here, and when she is, she's not getting quite as much value. And a DPS, or if your GOAT's a diva, can go and contest that. And then you're just kind of stalling the point right here. So you're taking away the high ground advantage that the Widow would have, forcing them to play in a very shallow sight line of just this, and if you're playing the corner, they're going to get no value, or being risky and coming up here, meaning they can get tested, or being super risky like this, and going behind and pining it. But that's, again, super risky. So they're going to have an advantage coming in there. All right, so we're not swapping. Oh, yeah. All right, now we're swapping. I like the swap. It's, again, going to be really tough because you're not really set up yet, but you should have your Rhine set up by the time you get here. Now, sights are up, so you need to be very, very careful, or the team needs to be careful. Diva's coming up good. Interesting dive. I don't like that. I assume the Diva gets demeched there. Whew. Oh, the other Diva gets demeched. That's very well done, actually. So Winston's controlling this high ground, which is good. That's where the Widow wants to be. Now she's going to range pot shots, and now it's going to be really tough for you guys to do a lot. Now they're just going to have free reign across the whole point. You're going to have to deal with divers, plus you're going to have to deal with that Widow. Though Winston should probably swap because he's going to get destroyed now that they have a break. That Diva dive was scary. It was good, though. So now Team H is still in a good position, but ideally the Winston would swap here. One of the things... Oh, Massivo. Did he fire strike? So that's, you definitely want to use your fire. You want to, I like to fire strike, swing, swing, charge. Generally, I get the most, that timing wise, I get the most value out of it. Only fire striking if the damage isn't going to come into you. Yeah, so this is, ooh, big bomb. Yeah, again, Widow's up top. Going to be really hard to get her off. Brig is just, oh, nice. All right, that was a good job. Good door block. So let's kind of want to analyze. So that was a very quick point B take. One of the things I do want to talk about real quick is ultimates. I did say before, right? Ultimates give an advantage. But There is... What, can't you cancel swing after you hit with Fire Strike? Yes, you can. But you can. So I guess you would want to swing, Fire Strike, swing for the most damage. But I usually end up... So the reason I like to Fire Strike first is because I can ensure damage gets to the back and my team can follow up on it. And the earlier the Fire Strike gets there, the better. But yeah, you're not wrong there. What's my SR? I'm like 3,300. But I don't play much ranked. I have like 4 accounts. All have been decaying. I much prefer coaching. And the SR of the teams I coach is GM. So. And my EU team has won one tournament, second place in another daily tournament, and hopefully getting first place in a different daily tournament soon. Because we've been working really hard on that, and I want them to win that. Because it always feels good to win. What's up, dude? Did you know if you were a fruit, you'd be a pineapple? Damn. Nice. That's awesome. I would be a pineapple. I was going to walk in with trance. No, I love it. Respect it. I love puns. It's good. Walking in trance, but Bridge blocked us. Yeah, it was a good block. So... Big shatter. And this is where, like, Fire Strike, right? You prevent the Zen from getting up with trance. So if you Fire Strike here, Zen is 100 down. And then your Zen can follow up with some discorded shots. And this is also where it comes with not having a Lucio on this side. Oh, and you have a Hog. So you definitely should be able to do this damage. You just didn't have proper follow-up. Because I find you appealing. Oh my goodness, that's a good one. I love it. But now you're trapped, and you're going to take a lot of damage here. And once your main tank dies, it's going to be very hard for you to take the space, which will allow the Widow to get up top. So you definitely need to follow up on this. This is where not having a Lucio is kind of a problem, because with a Lucio, the Rhine can hammer and then swing as he's moving, and the speed can get him to his intended target better. So you could ideally speed, and you would kill the Zen, right? Because you can swing, Fire Strike, and he's dead. Or you just swing, somebody else shoots him, he's dead. You know, a lot of different things you can do, but that speed is definitely missing here. And again, it's the steamroll. H has such a big advantage. Now that the Rhine is dead, the Brig's going to have trouble staying alive. Shatter wasn't communicated well because we were on the back line. Yeah, so no follow-up there. Brig is split. Brig is going to die. Then Mercy's low. Mercy's going to die. So at this point, just kind of it's falling apart. Big bomb. That was well done. Keeping the Rhine in spawn. There's no way coming back from this. So they had a huge advantage. They took 0.1 and 2 for basically free. And an inability to dive on the Widow and still have enough healing to survive was definitely a factor in that happening. So let's keep going. Let's go with what we're doing on the attack. All right. My question got auto mod deleted or banned? What was your question? What could your question have possibly been that it got auto modded? I can only think. Spam the... Jesus Christ. Alright, so let's look at... Oh, God. Alright, so... Same thing. This is a better setup than the initial setup. From how much value do you think Moira can have here as opposed to Tracer for TMG? Oh, I was actually going to go on and say that I think Moira here is a terrible choice, and I think the better option would be Ana. And like an Ana Lucio or something would be a better option. Problem with Moira is, or the problem with this whole thing, so if this was like a Lucio, for example, right? The speed lets Zen kind of get places better. Mikhail, what was your question? But say it nicely. How do you feel the defending team's composition on this first point? Don't worry. I'll get you sorted. So, holy shit. Sidetracked. This was a Lucio, right? That allows Zen to get up to the high ground better. These are both very, very slow. Moira's going to really suck with this composition because she is unable to heal from range. When did I do? Oh, you didn't. When do I do? I don't think you do a Pine Flank, do you? I was just saying that's an option that you could do. You have the option to Pine Flank. I don't think you did. At least I didn't see it. Oh, when do... Oh, you don't. You just don't. Like, okay, all right. If you know that they're pushed up aggressively, but their supports are in the back, and it's going to be difficult for them to dive you, if you know you can hit a shot on a support and trade your life, then it's okay. Generally, not a safe thing to do. Yeah. So if this was Lucio, lets the Zen get up to high ground quicker, lets the divers go, and the Lucio can stick with the divers. If it's an Ana, she has ranged healing plus the anti-heal. If this was a Mercy, again, she's kind of better at healing at range. And if this was a Brig, that would be terrible. So we're not even going to acknowledge that. The problem with Moira in compositions like Dive is, unless she has a Lucio, where again, if we talk about those lines where their sticking is very, very tightly and diving together, with the Lucio speed getting the Moira in, she's not going to have any value. So without the speed, she's going to be forced to use her Fade to move with the tanks, which leaves her susceptible to a counter dive. So I don't like the Moira. I would preferably go Ana or Ana and a Lucio, but Ana here is a much better option because she has a lot easier time healing the tanks and not putting herself in a dangerous position because she can keep her sleep and keep her nade. Defensive teams comps, not a fan. Ana is enough healing for the team. Moira's use is for mass healing. That's why you use Moira. She really doesn't have any utility besides her heals, right? Like, she doesn't have Discord, she doesn't have speed, she doesn't have anti. She's heals. That's what she does. She's either heals or damage, but you want to be healing. So Ana is enough healing. And with the Ana, you want another type of utility. You want the speed or the Discord. Not really. Just based on the current environment, it's not. Maybe like at a lower SR where you can run a dive, but the problem is with that level of healing, you have to be very, very good. The thing about that healing composition is it requires your team to burst down the enemy quickly, which requires a lot of coordination. If your team doesn't have that coordination, then you're not going to get the value. So, yes and no. Mostly no. So you want an extra. Moira can heal for the Ana, but again, losing the Discord is not helpful. I don't necessarily mind the Junk and the Widow, because I think it can work against a tank-heavy comp, wasting specifically the Moira, right? Because she's going to be forced to heal a lot, and then when she's out of healing, she's out of healing. And then dive tanks are dive tanks. So the positionally, right, this is a lot better. Again, I prefer the blue box, but like, you guys are going to be forced to deal with a Junkrat shooting you from here, or as you move here from up there. It's going to be really annoying. But I don't like the healing. Generally, I save... Yikes. Generally, I would save Orb for... And also, if you look, this box provides natural cover from here to here to here, plus from down here. So it's a lot better than up here, which is a lot more open, which can be free-fired from here, and from down there. So I think it's better. Also, if you are more, you want to be up high. You want to not really be doing as much damage. You don't want to get yourself caught in this position where you're going to be forced to fade and then easily dove on. But that's the Genji down. So you can't really push. You haven't even pushed guard. So now they're getting aggressive. Bada boom. Done. And that was a good dive. But they should get out now. You used your fade, so he will commit because you used the fade. Does he get follow-up? He doesn't look like he's really playing with his Ana sightlines. You have to remember when you're playing with an Ana, it's all about the sightlines you can inhabit. So yeah, their defensive positioning is a lot better than yours is. Because you're going to be forced to use cooldowns to get up to them to do anything. See, cooldown. And you don't have any extra divers with you. That Winston should die pretty quickly. Or at least be forced out, yeah. So you definitely wanted the Diva with you. There's a Junkrat getting a kill. So, and like, look, they can just freely jump on you without wasting cooldowns. And you're screwed there. It makes it you're going to have a tough time diving this. Big bomb. Is your bomb even bigger? You didn't bomb. It looked like you did. So yeah, there's going to be a huge tough time bombing this from Team G. Team H has a lot better time. They have basically the two. Ooh, that's a good kill. So overextension from the Winston there. You should never, ever, ever extend. So Sombras in particular kind of punish bad game sense or laziness, as said by the man Surefor, which is a big factor. So these hacks are huge right now. So she's taking out the tanks, which means it's going to be impossible to peel for like the Widow here. So that was a good dive, solo dive, nice job. Here again, you have to come back to the Moira for healing. How did that Diva get out? I don't. Oh, you mean like while she was hacked? She probably got big healed by the Moira. She probably got orbed. All right, using that to survive, and then ooh, yeah. So this is what we're kind of talking about with like the ooh, nice, good blade, thrives in chaos. So I will say the one thing that your comp can do is thrive in chaos because you have Genji for dashes. The Moira works well in chaotic fights. Are we making switches? Who? Doomfist. All right. Again, I would still go with an Ana here. Moira's just not optimal. That was good. Trying to get up on the setup. Tire, unfortunately, does not allow you to do such a thing. But they're giving you freedom. They're controlling the high ground now, so they definitely still have this advantage. Your hacks are being huge. Good uppercut. Discords. So yeah, this is a composition that will absolutely punish not being perfectly positioned. Why would you do that? So never go for a res against a Doomfist. It's a bad decision. Monkey's kind of feeding ult here. Yeah, definitely an ult feed. I'm proud of this moment. Was that... I can't see what's happening. Big bombs went through. Big hold. That, never go for a res with a Doomfist around. Big mistake there. You're locked in place. Doomfist gets a free one-shot on you. And even if he doesn't one-shot you, he prevents the res from coming in. And then you're out of position. How does that fight lose, actually? Well, it counts. You should have won it. What happened? Did you split? Must have split. Okay, so let's go through here. So Winston dies. Alright. Not terrible. You're still taking space. They haven't decided to jump down on you yet. Which right here, I believe they absolutely should. Without a Winston, you being in here isn't going to be a problem. And the healers are on point. They can just ignore you as a Doomfist for now. And go for... I know Diva Bomb, but how does it hit? That's the question. So it's a good punch. Unfortunately, you didn't land that ability. Yeah, I don't know how she didn't get that punch. Big mistake. Winston comes in here. So, okay, so, because we're focused on the Doomfist, everybody's on point. Everybody comes in, so this is a good collapse onto the Winston. We used bubble, so there's no bubble. Okay, so we're splitting. So the problem that happens here is that we go in on this, on the cart while, like, 3 of us are here, and when we split up, they take advantage of that. Stream was laggy, it doesn't show much. That's unfortunate, but it happens. Live and learn. So the Diva Bomb into the back line. And without the shields, both died. So not everyone was grouped up, so she got a lot of value. It's a good hack on the Diva, but it looks like you're done. And again, I just don't see the value of the Moira over the Ana. Because there's not, actually. But we have combinations, so let's see how this next fight goes. So there's a Widow. No. Ooh. she get stunned? Slept? Must have been one. Okay. Target. So yeah, we should ideally wait for, and see, look at this high ground control. Look at what they're free to do. They can engage on you whenever they want. They're not really worried. Now, you used cooldowns, you used your jump, so now they're free to come in with the engage. Looks like an EMP will come through. Yeah, and then we get kills with the Doom ult. Wow, lots of ults coming out. So definitely a case of over-ulting. Most likely didn't need more than the EMP and the Doomfist ult. Good Tire doesn't do anything. Definitely a case of over-ulting there. You probably would have won that had you not ulted. And positionally from blue team, right, as they come in here, one, they have no real way to counter an EMP because of the swap to Mercy here, which you were not supposed to use support ults, but people panicked. Yeah, that happens. You guys don't play as a team. It's tough. Thing about it is, like, the one thing that teams do over competitive or anything like that is trust. Like, if you've been playing with this team for a while, you probably wouldn't use the support ults. But, like, every individual cannot trust that the person playing their role will optimize their role because they haven't been playing with them. So you have to do all you can, which sometimes leads to huge ult pushes like this, which can happen. When it comes to blue team, their biggest problem is they have nothing to counter the EMP. They don't have any support ult to deny that. So that's not going to happen. McCree is very immobile as is. He's set up on the low ground. Ideally, your McCree wanted to be on the high ground here. And as I would, if I was this team here, right? Well, one, McCree needs to be up on the high ground, right? And he's very vulnerable to getting a kill. But as you push here, I would just, like, the monkey jumps, right? So you're pushing. So Moira's wasting a lot of her resources. And I believe they probably could still win this fight, right? So the monkey jumps there and uses his bubble. So, and Moira is fading right now, which means right now we can jump down without using cooldowns and then pressure the Moira plus the Zenyatta, which either forces the trance or kills the Moira, or forces them, like, you can either force ults out and kill, and then once the ults come out, you can jump back up top and then re-engage when the ults are over, right? You have that time. But the problem with this is, right, you jump out, which means you don't have that cooldown to jump back up, which means now you have to hard engage. And when you hard engage like that, it's basically you're going to have to deal with the ults as they come. So the hard engage came through, and you can't do anything about it because you're kind of stuck in place. So this is kind of, do you go Genji Zarya every time you see enemy teams with no Zen or Lucio? I go anything. Nanoblade, Grav Dragons. Grav Dragons is a huge one. EMPs. Anything like that. Like, if I'm playing and I notice that they don't have a Zen, like if their healing combo is like Ana and, Brig or Ana Moira, 100% going in with a Genji. Zarya Genji isn't really a combo quite as much anymore. Or actually, honestly, I'll usually go with a Hanzo and a Zarya because that's a really strong combo together and requires a lot less skill shots to nail a team wipe. So, I got a buddy I queue up with who plays basically like just Hanzo, and I play basically just Zarya. And even if they do have a support ult, sometimes you can just get it out. But if they don't have a Zen or a Lucio, it's fucking GG. It's just GG. It's easy. So, done there. Definitely over-ulted, but you win the fight. So, it is better to use ults and win than to not use ults and lose. So, or it's better to overuse ults and win than underuse ults and lose, I suppose. You at least did win. So now They're running a Pharah to counter you, so now the Mercy makes sense. And actually, so I actually really like... That's so I feel like you see so much less than like season. Well, yeah, it's not quite as common, but it's still a good combo if you can pull it off. Hanzo's fun. I love Hanzo. So I still don't like the Mora. I'm just gonna keep saying that. But when it comes to comps here, this is actually I think a lot better of a composition because you can have this supply damage for the divers to dive onto, and then McCree, if he's smart, right? He'll stick with the Ana, and he'll be the one to peel for the Ana with the stun, to prevent like things like the Sombra from coming in. So I actually really like this composition. It's not optimal, but it has a lot of synergy with itself. Even though, again, like McCree's not great in dive, it's not the worst pick you could have made. Yeah. Now we're doing beautiful damage. Soldier is not a great counter to a Pharah, especially if the Pharah has the Mercy on her, which currently she doesn't. But so in this comp, Mercy should absolutely just be sticking with the Pharah here because again, Ana has so much healing potential that Mercy doesn't need to supplement the healing onto the tanks, so she's totally free to just stick with the Pharah and allow her to damage and just have a much better time at building their ultimate and getting the value in. So the Ana Mercy isn't bad, but you do not have a support ult, so you have to be, or you don't have a good defensive ult, so you have to be really, really good about positioning and not, giving up. Yeah, see, Mercy, I want the Mercy to be more in the air here. Now she is. That hack comes off. Is a good primal. Now we get the trance out. So now what do we do after the trance? So potentially, what I would want to see here is we're 4 down with no tanks. I would just go onto the point and die. Because what you can do is you can stall the point and it allows you to reset yourself. So now you're staggering. Red team's staggering themselves. Because there's no way now that they can full stack as 6. So now it's just a trickle game. And unless like Pharah nails a large ultimate, blue team's going to run right through. Which is what is happening right now. But if instead you die on the cart, you prevent it from moving, you Ana Zen and Zen bubble the Pharah. No, I like the Mercy. I mean, like, the thing is, if you run a Pharah, you want to run a Mercy. Because the problem with the Zen is that now he can't quickly... Like, Mercy can switch her beam and still be in the sky. But Zen, while he does have the defensive ultimates, doesn't give the same... Like, Pharah isn't just good with Mercy because she can fly. It's the damage boost is what makes Mercy Pharah great. Not, just that ability to fly and heal. But with the Zen, you don't get that. Well, you do have Discord. Discord doesn't give... Discord isn't as helpful to Pharah. The damage boost is a lot better. And the ability to fly and damage. Like, it serves multiple purposes. So it's not a bad comp. You just have to be aware of it. Righty, tighty, mighty. So we got a minute. A minute is going to be tough. So a minute to take it. Farmer's side. Don't like the Zen here. Zen is going to have trouble peeling for himself. Ana has much better peel for herself with the nade and with the sleep. Zen's going to be kind of stuck alone in the back, and Mercy's going to have to move back with it. Not terrible. Not a terrible swap. There's much more self-peel here, so I actually don't mind that. Enemy team, not terrible. Again, no defensive ult. A Zen would probably be better here. Zen or Lucio. Zen can help a lot with the soldier as well as the Junkrat. And Zen can discord the Pharah, which makes the duel between soldier and Pharah a lot better. Let's see how this fight plays out. Sombra was doing you wonders. Those are very good hacks. Those are the targets you want to be hacking. Pressure. Really great job. Now, while you do, you get the res off. So it's really good. So she does as well. So it's kind of back to an even fight. That would have been a 6 sleep. See, at this point, Honor should be focusing on healing. He didn't get hacked. So yeah, more is not to. I feel like I doomed some plays because I can't play Lucio, and I was expected to since I was an off healer. You don't want to talk about it, that's fine. Yeah, you definitely need to learn how to play Lucio as an off healer. It's something that I would highly suggest doing. See, this is a problem though for the diva, right? They commit into you and they can't get help under. It's very, very difficult for them to get help. So now they have to full commit. Soldier's doing a lot of work. Ugh. We don't talk about that. So yeah, you're... Woohoo! That's a great EMP. Sombra's been very, very good for you guys. Good visor, eat. Yeah, gets taken out. So now it's just come to a kind of a brawl here. So Soldier should probably preferably be up on the high ground more. What elo is this? Gold, I believe. We don't talk about that. He's so mechanically hard. I would just focus on the simple things. Like, the thing about Lucio is he's got a low floor but a high ceiling. So you can do a lot with Lucio. Lower level, no, I actually don't. Well, this depends. Like, for what it is for me is that if there's a hero that is easier and you can get the same value as a hero that's harder and you're not quite as good at, you should go with the easier hero because you're more comfortable, right? But you have to learn. That I would suggest, but not because they're lower level, but they don't have the same communication skills. So certain comps I wouldn't let lower teams run. Like I would not have them run a Genji or like a Zen Lucio dive. I wouldn't have them run Zen goats. Because the thing is that all of those compositions require high level communication skills and high level positioning. So it's not just the composition itself. Like people tend to forget when it comes to meta compositions, the only reason they're meta is because at the highest level, they are optimal. But if you're not optimizing them, the meta composition can actually be worse off. And the best example is the current meta with goats. If you do not play goats right, you are dooming yourself. Because if you play super split, it's very easy for the team to pick you up. But yeah, like that, you have to practice. But like scrims are the perfect place to practice. You never learn unless you play those harder heroes. You never learn the game. But what I suggest is not doing the hard things with the heroes. So like Lucio, I agree. Mechanically intensive with a lot of things, right? Wall riding, there's a lot of stuff you can do with his beat. Like, beat has a jump. If you jump on top of something, you can get the beat off quicker. There's a lot of stuff you can do. But if you just focus on the basics, like how do I position? When do I switch from healing to speed? Yeah, just ignore it. Fuck that. I practice in quick play all the time. I get called, trash. It's quick play. You're learning. It's whatever. But like, focus on the simpler parts because you can still get value there. And then once you nail down the simple parts, you can start to learn. You can start to get better and you can start to increase what you do. Like, when I was first learning to play Reinhardt, I didn't do any fancy stuff. I learned the basics. I learned when to shield, when to position, when to this, when to that. And then I started to add more to my repertoire. Same with Winston. That's just the way you can do it. It's the way you have to. Because if you try too much, you won't do enough. But if you don't try, if you can perfect the things you can do, you're doing better. If you can do one thing 100%, it's better than doing 3 things 33%. So, again, that's just a different version of optimization. That was brawly as hell. So let's just go back to how it starts here. I think it's a good fight, good trades across the board. Your Sombra died early, so you can't really engage yet until like the Sombra gets back. It's a good kill. You get killed. Both are going to get res. Now, if I was the Sombra, right, instead of this hack here, knowing that they have the Widow or the Mercy, I would try to get the hack off onto the Mercy. I would see the death of and I would go up here quickly and just try to hack the Mercy to prevent that. And then that gives you an advantage. So you've created an advantage. Even if you don't kill the Mercy, you stopped her from rezzing, so now they don't have a healer. You're at a huge, huge, huge advantage. So yeah, she rezzed. So I would be focusing on healing here. Like right here, I would try to have my team collapse on the D.Va because she's out of position and she's not getting healing. And your D.Va can DM, or you can Winston Bubble. So you can Winston Bubble or DM the healing from the Ana. So you can cut the healing off so that the D.Va doesn't get healing, especially since she used Fly. She has nothing to do. You dying sucks because you are the main source of damage. So now they can't really do something. Now we're seeing the problem with Moira is that she cannot effectively and quickly get to the high ground to heal. It's harder for her to heal in these high ground places. Now for them, I really don't like this dive in here, but you are very, very low, so it's understandable. And then once they kind of collapse here, they're starting to just take you out. They have a lot more damage than you do, and they're playing very quickly, and you're not kind of backing off and then waiting to engage as the blue team. And then, it's big ults coming out. Now the bomb EMP was really, really strong, but it wasn't enough. And we could have, if we ideally had put it at this corner, we would have killed even more. That would have been the ideal. There's no Mias in this chat. Alright, so let's see their attack here. So they don't have very far to go. Very, very not far to go. So what do they roll out with? Okay, so we are rolling on the defense. Don't mind this. Again, this is not a ton of heals, and it's both single point. So you guys have to be very, 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 very smart with what you do. Running a Bastion here. I don't mind this, actually, but you definitely need to have a shield. Because you want to set the Bastion up on the payload, and you want to force them to dive on the payload. That's not a good dive because... Oh, no, that's a better dive. Sorry, I didn't see the Tracer there. But you don't have your... What is it? D.Va with you. So ideally, the D.Va wants to be with the Winston. It needs to DM that damage. That was a good dive. So now they're just going to set it. This Bastion is interesting. He's not setting up on the payload. I like it. He's forcing the attention to get split between him and the payload. Not bad. I actually like this Bastion. It's good res. It's very split though. Don't like the healing composition, though it can be. It's definitely going to keep the Bastion alive more. If that's your win condition, totally get it. Yeah, it just looks like you guys are getting. You got split. You guys definitely weren't able to peel effectively with your D.Va and your other healer, so your healers couldn't peel for each other effectively, and your off tank did not come in peel, which meant that they were very. It was very easy for them to split your dive. And your guys, attention-wise, the red team was more on a singular target than the blue team was. Yeah, let's watch the play of the game. Why not? Let's watch the play of the game. Lots of healing. Oh, pop, 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 pop. Pop, 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 pop. Nice. All right. Good stuff. Hey, there it is. All right. I think that's going to be it. I think I've been streaming so the show has lasted about 3 hours. So about an hour and a half per map. Which is a long time. I knew it was going to be long, but I wasn't sure exactly how long. Before I'm done, right? Before I'm done, does anybody have any final questions before I'm finished? It could be on anything: coaching, Overwatch, characters, abilities, comps, anything. I want to answer as many questions as I can as we finish this up. Anything you want to explain in depth? I can go in depth with a couple things. I still have time. I'm not doing anything. Sleeper fist picks for post Doom bring mostly main thing you spit down. Those newbies need more coaching. For coaching, what do you do? Sleeper picks for post Brig Doom Brig nerfs. I think Brig's still gonna be strong. Brig is still going to be strong in a GOATS composition. Sleeper picks, I would say potentially Ashe could be very strong because Doom isn't going to be quite as good against getting to things far away. So if Ashe is out of his range, she can pump a lot of damage into him. I don't think Widow will be good. The thing about Brig is that like her healing got buffed, so she's definitely still going to be strong in her GOATS compositions. But the biggest difference is going to be how GOATS gets played, because right now it's a lot of, all right, stun the Reinhardt, put Discord on him and burn him down. But since you can't stun, you're going to have to be smarter with how you use your stun and use your shield. So say Ashe has the potential to be a sleeper pick. I would say Ashe. Maybe McCree as well could be another one. Anybody who really gets shut down hard by Doom and doesn't have a way to deal with it is going to come back a little bit better. I don't think Soldier will be good, so he's not a sleeper pick. Maybe Mei can be a sleeper pick because the stun doesn't scare her as much, and she can deal with Doom really well already. Sombra is going to be, I think, even better. Has the potential to be better because she's not as scared as she can hack Doom, and not quite as scared at the Brig. So I think maybe Sombra too. So I would say like Ashe and Sombra I think are potential sleeper picks. But I haven't put much like brain power into potentially the next meta. Right now I'm playing what I'm playing. We got to train for OD based on the patch that we got right now. So that's kind of where I'm at. So sleeper picks. Newbies need more coaching. Yes, they do, but that's what this Owlet is for. I think a lot of these players there's a lot of promise in a lot of players, and I think they're all going to get better as long as they're willing to listen to their coaches. For coaching, what do you do if you notice yourself having lots of pauses in commentary? Would you say that's okay sometimes? 100%. I pause a lot because I think about a lot of different things. I don't think it's bad to pause as long as you, at the end of your pause, get out what you're trying to say. Like I do that a lot. I do the little trying to think thing. I don't think pauses are necessarily bad, especially if you're doing a VOD review. There's kind of an expectation that the VODs are going to take a long time to review with your team. At least in my teams, there's that expectation. But in live coaching, you want to be concise. Like I did coaching for like Jane's server, for like newbie pugs on Jane's server, and you had 5 minutes to coach, and you had to be quick, fast. But if it's with your team, I don't think it's bad to pause. Just make sure you're getting your point across and everybody's understanding everything. So it's not the worst thing, but try to minimize it. But it's okay to pause. If you're thinking about something or you really have to put some thought into it, you're kind of going through a couple scenarios in your head. As long as you're not live coaching during the game and pausing, then you're fine. Discord priority, if you're in I would say any frontliner, or if you're playing dive target. If you're playing Deathball / Goats, it's the Brig or the Reinhardt. So in the dive, it's the dive target because the way that dive works, and I have a whole video on this on my YouTube, which is the same as my Twitch. It's just Frumple OW, and it's on comparing the Sombra Doom dive and the old dive with Genji Tracer. And one of the, kind of tenets of dive is burst damage. Because since you have very little healing in dive, you need to be able to quickly burst your targets down. And Zen is crucial in that because you have the Genji Tracer and the Winston all diving on one target, and it will die quicker because of the 37% damage if you're hitting the Discord. So whichever the dive target is, if you can see that target, it's going to be that. So whatever your dive priority is also your Discord priority. When you're playing in Goats, it wants to be the front line because the way Goats works is it's two front lines clashing together, and whoever's front line and Ryan survives is the one that's going to have the advantage going into the fight. And so you want it ideally to be on the Rhine, but the Brig is also a good option because with the Discord, a couple swings will kill her. And without the Brig, their front line is weaker because there's nothing to counter stun for like stun shatters or putting the Discord on their Rhine. So you having a Brig gives you an advantage if their Brig is dead. So it's front line on Rhine and Brig. Discord player Hanzo in the current meta, super duper weak. If you're talking pro play, he's not the best in terms of value. His ult can't get a lot done. No problem. Can't get a lot done again. Like if we're talking meta, we got to talk Goats because Goats is the meta right now. For teams, if you're coaching, like when I got my scrims, right, Goats. The enemy team's always running Goats. And I don't want to say adamant to not play Goats, but I have a few compositions that I like to run, and I didn't always want to run Goats, but I've kind of had to come to this concession that right now, Goats is the meta that you need to be playing. And Hanzo just does not provide the value against Goats that even other DPS could. So like a Junkrat can build up Tire, and potentially get picks there. Pharah, same thing. She builds up ult quickly, get there. Doomfist, Sombra, they can hack, they can displace. There's good there. But with Hanzo, all you really have is burst damage coming from, like, his ult is useless because, one, there's speed. And even if you grab, there's 3 support ults that can stop it. Plus, the D.Va has the option to eat it. Plus, eat the grab. So there's a lot that can go against that specific combo. And in addition to that, your biggest way to kill people is through headshots. Well, there's 3 different shields. Or with Stormbow, well, there's 3 different shields. There's Defense Matrix, there's Bubbles, and there's Rhine shields. And Brig, so 4 shields. So he's very, very weak right now. Not anybody I would pick up. Not a character that I would say he has got to be in my team. He's just not that good right now. He's pretty weak. I agree. I like being Hanzo. I like Hanzo being out of place right now, so people don't pick him. All right, last question. In depth, give your step-by-step process of how your hairstyle came about. Okay, step-by-step. Starts out as my hair is this color. It's the brown with the beard. Well, actually, let's start from the bottom and go to the top. Let's go Drake style. Starting from the bottom, then we'll be up here. So it started out, I didn't shave for like 2 weeks, and then it made it so I didn't look like I was 15, and people actually thought I was like my proper age, so I kept the beard. So it starts from the bottom there. Then we come up here. This is my normal hair color, right? But the way it goes is come like May, April, May, I'm like, damn, I should like dye my hair and see what it looks like. I dyed it gray first, then did blonde, so it's like it's grayish right now. Sometimes it's blonde. I dyed the whole head, and I'm like, all right, this is pretty awesome. I'll look pretty mad good with this on. Then I go in for my first appointment, like my haircut, shave the sides off, keep the top up high, so the sides go back to normal color. The head stays that nice bleached gray color, and this is where it sticks for now. Next appointment's going to come in. It's going to be more frosted tips, then another one, still little frosted tips, then one more, and boom, it's gone, and we done. So that's my step-by-step analysis of my beautiful hairstyle. Thank you. I like it. Love my hair. It was a good question. I respect it. That's a question that needs to be answered. It's very, very important. Any last ones before I finish up? Any final questions before I end this off? Thank you so much. It's my pleasure. I had a lot of fun. So I guess if there's no questions, just a real quick kind of end of show plug. Frumple is the man. Thanks, Rip. Love you, man. So kind of as an end of show plug, as you see under the camera, I have my Twitch. I'll hopefully be back on it. I've been very busy with my coaching and my OD teams. It's very hard for me to find the time to stream. But as, World Cup was already done, but as like Contenders is kind of getting into action, and then once Overwatch League gets into action, and people send me VODs or get in touch with me. Thanks for ever followed. I just heard it. So I'll be doing a lot of those. And if you're interested in that, I'd love to have you, come and, join my Twitch. Come in, ask questions. Thanks. There's another one. Really feel good about it. And I'll do whatever I have available every once in a while. I do stream, also, comp and stuff like that, standard Overwatch stuff, but mostly getting into the analysis, and I'll hopefully be able to stream more as time goes. But if you want to, go and see it. I'll do this every week still, but that might be, more consistent with it. You'll see more of me, and that's never a bad thing. Otherwise, next time we do this, after the season starts, we'll do this again. We'll pick a map or two, right, for majors, minors, see how it goes. And then the idea is that next time, it could just be me again, but we are looking, to have guests on the show as well. So it's me and another guest, and when we do that, we'll kind of talk more about, how they started coaching, the ins and outs of coaching, what they like, how they did this, what they like about the game, thoughts, and all that, kind of have a more talk showy vibe in the first, and then we'll both review the map and give our different thoughts about it and kind of go off of each other that way. So if you're a coach and you're interested in that, hit me up. I already also posted in the Owlet, or if you're not in Owlet, you can find me on Discord. I think it's my name, so Frumple1573 is the hashtag, I believe. If you want a VOD reviewed, hit me up. If you're a coach and you want help with your team, hit me up. If you're a coach and you want a team VOD review, hit me up. If you're not a coach and you want your team VOD reviewed, hit me up. Totally in for anything. If you have any extra questions, you can hit me up. I'm very open on Discord. And I think that'll be it. So yeah, again, if you want to go, you can go to that. We can post in the coach section for that too. Yes, absolutely. 100%. Try to get some guests in, talk to everybody, see who wants to come in for the next one, what works. And then we'll try to, I have no idea how to get another person's camera on my stream, but we'll figure it out. I'll learn, right? It's a learning process. But again, if you want anything reviewed, have any questions, want me to look at any videos, DM me on Discord. And if you want to, see more of me when it's not just on the show, hit me up on the Twitch, and we'll be good to go from there. But I think besides that, overall, really good. 3 hours. Nailed it. It was about as long as I probably expected it to be. And I will see you guys. You will see me and my beautiful hair next time I come in with the Coach's Corner, potentially with a guest and with some new games. So looking forward to that. And I hope overall everybody had a great time, because I know I did. And it was a lot of fun. And it'll be fun to keep this going, get it building. So I'll catch you all later. Again, ping me if you need anything. See you next time with the next Coach's Corner.